Hey everybody, welcome back to Tales of Alashar. This is officially session 1. As a reminder, we already hosted session 0. That full video is up on the YouTube channel, the Vanguard D&D channel on YouTube. If you want to check that out, you're more than welcome to do so. And in session 0, we kind of unpacked how our player characters all met, how they became a party, and how they got teed up on this new job, which is taking us into session 1. So if at any point during the session today you're like, how do we get here? Who are these people? I don't know these people. If you want to learn more about that, feel free to check out the full session 0 on the channel. But otherwise, I am more than happy to just give you a quick recap on what has happened and who these people are. But first, let me give some brief introductions. First, we have Stephanie, who's playing the character Thera.
Hello.
And maybe what's one quick thing? Who is Thera?
She is a female elf sorceress of noble lineage from the kingdom of Heavendell, and she's awesome and cool and badass and a little chaotic.
All right. And then we also have Kelvor, who's played by Kale.
Hey, how are you?
Tell us about Kelvor.
Kelvor is a half human, half elf ranger from the serene enclave of Elder Glen Grove, which is a small grove, or was a small grove, in the southwest of the Arbellum Forest.
And last but not least, we have Chris, who is playing Carl. Who's Carl?
Carl is a dwarven barbarian who was orphaned in an infancy, and he's happy to be here, happy to be part of the group.
Excellent.
Ready to do whatever Seth tells him to do.
Happy to be here. Yeah.
So these three met up in New Kingsfield, which is a city. If I'll put a map up for you guys if you're watching on YouTube, a map of Alashar. By the way, we will have a Google Drive folder for those of you who want to explore this space on your own. We will put our maps in there. I will put lore entries in there, things like that, so you can learn more about the space and use them and repurpose them if you want to do your own campaigns in these spaces, which is totally fine by us as well. But anyways, on the map of Alashar, you'll see the city of New Kingsfield, which is straight north of Penanthro, the capital. That is where these three budding adventurers met as they registered on a registration day in New Kingsfield at the SOA, the Society of Adventurers. They met each other in a tavern. There was your typical brawl that broke down, and it was a lot of fun. They all got involved. And because they showed some spunk, they were given a job by a local merchant named Melavir, who witnessed the brawl, the tavern brawl, and they did a job for him, helped him with some shipments that were going missing, found some bandits who were hijacking them, and because of that, they were given a new job through a mutual contact of Melavir's, a guy named Baron Monsimer, from the city of Calavos. They took the job. The job was basically, Monsimer said, hey, I sponsor the local orphanage. Kids are going missing. We're up to... At the time that he wrote the letter, 3 kids had already gone missing from the orphanage, and he's starting to suspect that something's going on. They're not runaways, because they're not like your typical runaway kids. They're the ones that were happy there. So anyways, they've been given this job to go to Calavos, which is pretty remote and out of the way, and that is where we are picking things up today. Sound good?
I'm ready.
I'm in.
All right. Well, let's get grooving here. Hey, it's been well over a week since you left New Kingsfield, and at first the journey was fairly thrilling. You brand new budding adventurers heading out onto the road, kind of exciting. And after passing through Penanthro and then renting a room in Fill Point for a night, you then set out on the longest stretch of the journey through the flat, dull lands in early autumn with no scenery to enjoy, no dense vegetation to break up the wind. And after 3 consecutive nights of sleeping on the ground during chilly nights, you're now feeling a little anxious to be done with the trip. And luckily, you're now only about an hour away from the lower city gate of Calavos, which is your final destination. After so many days on the road, you've learned to tune out the sound of the wagon wheels, but your senses are now accosted with a new sensation on your final approach to the city. This briny, thick sort of sea air, kind of mixing with the swampy, must around you as well. You can even kind of taste it, not just smell it. Thera, desperate for a bit of a distraction, finds herself fiddling with one of the 3 medallions that Melavir gifted them, and he had explained that these were enchanted with magic, and they serve as your permission to access the upper city of Calavos. And you can kind of sense a dull sort of arcane energy in it as well, Thera. Meanwhile, Kelvor and Carl are gazing out to the north, looking over the ditch beside the road and out into the boggy marshes of Mulda. Even so, if you look at the map, by the way, you look at where Calavos is, you're on that road that's heading basically straight west and sort of arching down towards Calavos, and the marshes are on the northern side of the road. So that's kind of where you are.
From Phil Point?
Yeah, from Phil
Festering,
Point.
stinking marshlands, as far as the eye can see.
Even strangers in this land know to avoid the marshes because children's tales in Alashar often reference the marshes as a source of all kinds of hauntings and fiends and aberrations, right?
Are we sure we don't want to go there first? That sounds fun.
Well, the driver of the wagon, he's an older gnome named Ergs. He finally breaks the silence and calls your attention elsewhere. That there's Julian's Keep. He points to the south to a walled fortress with a road breaking off and leading to the main gate. It sits against a looming rock formation, craggy with stone spires behind it on the west side. That's where we go to pick up the Lapis shipments. It's a bona fide fortress in there. Lots of guards, several warehouses for storage inside. There's even a small building where we get to crash for the night before loading up and making the return trip home. Apparently all the Lapis and other goods coming out of Calavos travel up through a tunnel called the Hidden Highway, and they end up inside that fortress. It's how the Duke monopolizes the trade in Calavos. Although, that's new, he says as he's pointing to some hastily built, temporary housing units just outside the fortress wall. Anyway, that's where I'm headed after I drop you all off at the lower gate. No one's allowed to travel down the hidden highway into the upper city, so we gotta take the long way around the north side of the basin that the city sits in. All those rock formations you see there behind the keep make up the far eastern wall of the basin inside the city. So with that, he kind of passes the road that leads to the keep and continues going down the main road, and there's an immediate change in the quality of the path. It's now much more bumpy, unkept, and dotted with potholes.
I really want to go through that hidden highway. That's the first thing I want to do.
Well, wouldn't we have access to that with the,
I kind of doubt
little
it.
baubles we got? Well, doesn't that get us into the
Access to
higher
upper city, but
Right.
it doesn't
Isn't that
necessarily
part of
get
the
us
upper
into
city?
the hidden highway, which
Okay, I
is kind
guess
of
you're
their
right. I guess that's fair.
lockdown
does.
trade route, the sound of it.
It does if you have enough charisma.
Potentially.
If you show
Sweet
enough
talk
leg.
your way. Yeah.
Well,
Didn't wear socks today.
about 15 minutes later, you're starting to get very hungry. It's nearly noon. You've got just enough supplies left for one more solid meal before you hit the main gate. And as you're considering taking a break for a moment to eat, you see another wagon approaching you, traveling the opposite direction away from the city. You guys want to do a little perception check for me?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Set a
I forgot my freaking
D20.
dice.
Yeah, so roll your d20, add your perception modifier to it.
Oh, yes.
So that's a 10 for me.
10 for Kelvor.
Perception is +3. Okay. And I have my D20. 11 plus 3, so 14.
Okay. Carl?
I rolled an 18.
Okay.
Nice.
So,
Pretty
yeah.
good.
Well, Carl, you even though your half-elven friend has keener senses, maybe he's a little off today, or maybe the musk in the air is kind of throwing him off a little bit. But you kind of squint and you can make out a little bit of this carriage that's coming your way. You see another gnome is driving the carriage, and a number of travelers are sitting in the back of it. You can tell maybe 4 passengers. They look from a distance. You can see they look maybe well armed, well equipped. If you had to wager a guess at this distance, you'd say they look like adventurers, sort of like yourselves.
Oh.
Why'd you make that sound?
Well, that's just interesting. Why are there
No.
other adventurers coming from there? I thought people weren't taking jobs here.
It's a good
Right.
question.
I'm like, ugh.
Question.
Yeah.
Where are they leaving?
Do they look like, what's their status? Could you say, are they beat up? Are they
No,
okay? Are they?
From
Are they
this distance,
good-looking?
you really can't make out any finer
Okay.
details, but
Are they attractive?
they're just chilling in the back of the wagon,
Hmm.
You said they're well geared.
well geared.
Okay.
Should we rob them?
No.
I don't think that would end well for us.
So
We
as
could try.
as the wagon gets closer, Ergs, your driver, waves at the other driver, who politely waves back, and they both kind of slow down to a stop. As they're passing each other, and they start exchanging niceties and greetings, leading you to assume that maybe they know each other. Meanwhile, one of the passengers in the back actually stands up and calls out to your party. He's a tiefling male, young adult. Says, "Hail, travelers! You headed into the city?"
We are indeed. Friend, where are you
Where
headed?
where else would we be going?
That's a fair question.
Right.
Although I can't say as I recommend heading into Calavos these days. What business you got in the city?
Why are
Business
you?
is our own.
Yeah, what were you doing in the city?
Oh, fair enough. I need to get testy. Yeah, my name's Rodris. I'm an adventurer. I'm a tracker. These are my friends. That there's Yitzk. He points to a wood elf rogue who, well, you're assuming she's a rogue, kind of given the green cloak. She has leather armor that's actually dyed, like really dark, deep blue, almost like the color of night itself. And you can
Yep.
see she's got a whetstone and she's sharpening one of her two, like, very long daggers. And you, Kelvor, notice almost immediately that dagger is not normal. That dagger is actually made out of arbellium wood, which is as strong as steel. So she's a wood elf. He points to a halfling, says, "That there's Gribbling. He's a halfling, shaved head, looks a little gruff. He kind of gives a little grunt and a nod. And that's Delia. Delia is a human, female. She's got cleric robes on, but she kind of has like a bit of a 1,000-yard stare going on. And we're actually just headed out of the city. We kind of went there thinking we're kind of new at this whole adventuring thing. We thought maybe we'd head into Calavos and maybe try to corner the market on some jobs there and be like the local adventurer party, you know? But tensions are a little high in the city right now. Honestly, between you and me, I think civil war is really... I think it's probable at this point. It's like a powder keg there. We couldn't wait to get out of there. And it just kind of feels off. I don't know, something sinister hanging over the city these days. We just figured we'd cut our losses and bail.
Have you heard anything about strange disappearances in the city?
Disappearances? Well, I mean, I suppose people getting rounded up in the streets for being part of the resistance, but what do you mean by disappearances? Is that what you're here for?
Just
Way to go.
curious if you've heard
And then I
anything out of the norm.
More like,
You
Keep
can
your
use your
mouth shut.
whispers.
Hey, maybe they could help us. Maybe they know things. They've been here.
you're too trusting.
Well, I mean, maybe you've heard the same rumors everyone else has. A lot of people tell tall tales in Calavos, not a lot going on, but one of the local legends is the night hunter, abducting people at night, but there's not really a lot of, as far as I know, actual accounts of abductions.
While they're having this conversation, would it be possible for me? I have the cantrip message, which allows me to point toward a creature within range and whisper a message. The target and only the target hears the message and can reply in a whisper that only you can hear.
Okay,
Can I do this towards the cleric with the 1,000-yard stare?
sure.
So I'm going to cast a message. I'm going to point at her and I'm going to be like, "Hey, girl, listen, it's just you and me. Nobody else can hear this conversation. You look like you've seen something, and I'm just wondering if you're okay, if you need help, just want to girl to girl, like have a little girl talk. Are you good?"
So at this point, she is going to kind of snap out a little bit and lock eyes with you.
Hot. Okay.
You can hear a response directly into your brain here.
Okay.
And she's like not shouting. She's down at a whisper. Just,
Okay.
"Can you feel it?" And her eyes kind of dart away from yours and over towards the marshes. "There's something evil in there. Unnatural. You can't stay here."
Oh, got
Spooky.
spooky. Spooky. And immediately Thera is gonna go, "I want to go in those marshes so bad now." Oh gosh, yeah. Did you feel it when you were in the city?
And she's gonna like pull her knees sort of up to her chest. And she just kind of starts rocking a little bit. And she doesn't respond to you. At this point, Gribbling's actually gonna hop out of the carriage while the gnomes are still talking. And he goes, "Well, I'm famished. I'm getting some lunch." And he kind of moseys over to the side of the road where on your left side there, right side, there's a sort of like a half stone wall opposite the side of the road that has the ditch on it. Okay. And he's gonna like little halfling legs, like, climb up there and sit on it and pull out a pack and just start munching. And he's going to look up and he sees Carl. He's like, hey, want a drink? He pulls out a flask.
Definitely, I do. Especially after that little spooky... Well, actually, no, I didn't hear that.
You didn't
hear that.
Yeah, I definitely want a drink, though.
You jump down and join him?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm going to... Do I have maybe a little tankard in my pack? I'll pull that out just to...
There you go.
You should.
So he's going to pour you a little splash out of his flask and start
Adorable.
sipping while he's munching on some
2 little shorties hanging out. Love
dried
this.
meats.
Are the other 3 still in the cart?
Yeah. So Rodris is going to kind of pat Delia on the back. He's like, "You want some lunch, Del?" And she's not gonna say anything, but she kind of shakes her head nervously. He kind of gives like a look to you guys, almost like a sorry.
Delia is the cleric, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he kind of nods his head like you want to join us kind of a thing, and kind of swings his leg over the side of the cart as well with his pack and joins the halfling and Carl on the wall.
At this point, I would probably maybe pull out some like dry jerky or something like that and split it up between who's sitting next to me.
So you're next to Gribbling, and Rodris now kind of hops up next to you guys too.
Yeah, so I'll open my pack up and I'll share some of what I got. I know they're hungry and I'm hungry too.
Can I climb into the wagon with Delia?
Sure.
I want to as well, but next to the rogue.
Okay. She's gonna be like,
All right.
"Hey, yay!"
Wait, is he from Boston?
No, the rogue, Yitzk.
He's from Boston.
No, she.
I didn't know there was a Boston.
She's a female.
She? Oh, sorry. You have a male voice. I'm sorry.
I do.
Yes.
I don't do good women voices. That's something I've ever been really talented at.
Come on.
Do better.
You do have a good Valley girl.
I'm not doing that. But she's just gonna be like, hey, what?
I just want to put my hands up and just kind of gesture like, hey, it's easy. What part of the woods are you from? I noticed your dagger.
Vingrove. I lived in Vingrove. So do me a favor. Give me a little history check, would you, Kill?
Yeah. I've got a +1 to history, so that is a nat 20.
Let's freaking go.
So on the whetstone, there's a sigil on it. It looks like a very special whetstone. Like it's not just a rock, right? It's got like a couple of jewels set into it on the opposite side, and there's a sigil that's also engraved in it of some like bramble vines, kind of that wrap around what looks like is supposed to be maybe a tree trunk with a small, like a sparrow-looking bird in the middle of the vines. And you recognize this immediately as someone who grew up in the Arbellum Forest. This is the sigil of the Einar. So she has a whetstone that has a sigil of the Einar. They are like the elite guardians of the forest that work as the enforcers in Vingrove, in the capital city. And they have such a powerful psychic connection with the Arbellum Woods that as they're like moving through the forest, they can actually bend branches to their will and basically like glide through these forests with unnatural speed.
That's so cool. Yeah, okay. So I noticed this whetstone that she's working with. I'm just gonna ask, are you a member of the Einar friend? What are you doing so far from Vingrove, so far from the forest?
I used to be. I am no longer. That's kind of all you get out of her at that point. She just keeps.
She's not from Boston. She's Russian.
She keeps working on it, on her dagger. You know the woods.
I do. I grew up there as well. I'm from a small enclave, Elder Glen, sort of the southwest. Not sure if you've heard of it. Have you heard what's transpired there?
I worked in the Northeast Groves. I do not know this one.
I see. It was destroyed recently by a group of, well, frankly, I don't know who. Some group of bandits, mercenaries, came through, took everything, killed everyone.
On the word of bandits, I'm gonna snort a little bit and spit. I'll let you continue.
It's just that.
If you like to kill marauders, you're in the right line of work.
Indeed. I'm looking to find those that destroyed my home. I'm sure you can appreciate that.
Good luck to you. So Delia's still kind of rocking with her knees up to her chest. Rodris is going to kind of motion to her and lean down and whisper to Carl. Sorry about her. She's been having nightmares ever since we got to the city. They started out kind of infrequently, once a week or so, but then they started ramping up. And lately they've been so bad that she gets like multiple nightmares a night. She's barely sleeping. Kind of what pushed us over the edge to get out of the town.
What's she seeing in her nightmares?
Well, it's usually the same thing as far as I can tell. Something about seeing a woman drowning.
Ooh. What does the woman look like? Is it like a familiar face to her?
Not that I know of, but I don't really press her on it.
Fair.
Meanwhile, Thera is assessing the situation the best way she can to get information from her. So she's going to appeal to her in a soothing way, and Thera puts her hand on her shoulder gently, and she's just like, "Hey, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it? I mean, from one magic wielder to another, maybe we can help each other figure this out."
She just kind of like shakes her head nervously side to side, and she kind of reiterates, "You can't go there. Don't stay there."
And internally, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna stay there. I'm gonna do that because that's what Thera wants to do. Like, she's gonna, especially if somebody tells her she can't do something, she's like, I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm following you. Why wouldn't I go there though? Just out of curiosity, what's waiting for me there?
I don't know. Something evil. It's not right.
How do you know?
I see it every night. You'll see it too.
Sweet.
So Rodris and Griblin are going to continue munching, eating, kind of making small talk with Carl. But eventually they're going to start packing up their stuff and motioning back towards the wagon. Well, good chat with you, friend, says Gribbling, who barely spoke at all. All you did was eat with him and drink. How's the
Ate all your
grog?
beef jerky.
He goes, how's the grog? They make that stuff down in the lower city.
I hit the right spots. It did the job.
Yeah, nothing like what we drink at home. You ever been to Ludaria?
Can't say that I have. I'm kind of a wanderer.
You got to get there sometime. Whew. Our wines especially. Real good. Anyway, hey, you might actually like the dwarves that make this stuff.
Other dwarves in the city.
Oh, yeah. One of the ships down in Shiptown. It's all a bunch of dwarves. And not the uptight kind from yonder hole. They're a bunch of ruffians. Some of them are walkers, what they call them. They go down to the sea floor, I guess, and harvest this sea cane to make this here grog out of.
Sounds kind of dangerous, and it sounds kind of opposite of what most dwarves would be doing, but okay.
Yeah, they're pretty hardcore. Anyway, get some while you're there. Gonna hop back up in the wagon, joining his party and his comrades. So Rodris is, at this point, as he's climbing back into the wagon, he's gonna say, any questions you have before you get into the city? Happy to lend you any knowledge we have. I mean, we were only there a few months, but...
Ask him
Heard
if
any
there's,
word from the other provinces?
Nothing
Like
I'd like to
share.
talk about.
I mean, I'm getting the vibe that the city is obviously very split. The upper city being, where all the rich people are, the lower city being very poor. So I'm assuming that a lot of the parts of the lower city are going to be a little bit shady, but I'm also kind of getting the vibe that the lower city kind of sticks together, looks after their own. So I think I'm just going to ask him kind of like what kind of places, should we avoid? Like what should we be looking out for, be on our toes, for?
Well, I mean, Shiptown's really interesting, but I wouldn't really go there at night unless you've got a good reason. It gets pretty rowdy with all the crews of the ships. But other than that, if you're looking for a place to kind of be a central hub, there's a trade center right it's the big building. You can't miss it. Right on the main road down there next to Shiptown, but not in it. I guess it's where they used to process all the stuff coming into the harbor, and they repurposed the inside of the building. A lot of taverns and inns and even a couple of brothels and merchants in there too. But that's where all the activity kind of happens. But as far as seedy places to avoid, all the stories we hear are basically to avoid the guard line, which is sort of the row of buildings that separates the upper city from the lower city. But those are the people you don't want to mess with.
Why?
Well, so the city guard, I guess, is paid by the barons and the duke, and that's sort of the thing that separates the upper city from the lower city. They use the guard as sort of a shield against the commoners in case they ever get rowdy and want to do something about it. And they're pretty well equipped, and you can imagine the people in the lower city not so well equipped. So, and they kind of like to remind the people of that every now and then. I mean, just last week there was a pretty big skirmish just south of or just west of the main. There's like a courtyard there in the city guard line. Just west of it is a road that comes away from the trade center. There's a big skirmish there between some of the members of the uprising or whatever they're calling themselves these days. But yeah, I would just steer clear of there.
And you mentioned a civil war. Who are the major players in that?
Well, you've got obviously the common rabble that just sort of live in the lower city, but the ones kind of calling the shots are actually the captains in Shiptown. So they kind of lead their own crews, and they mostly get along as far as I can tell, but kind of not as well. The sort of tense relationships they have with each other.
Okay.
Yeah, but they work together. But it's kind of like a you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of a thing. But they kind of lead all of the uprising and resistance stuff against the upper city. And then, of course, in the upper city, well, you've got the barons and the duke. The duke kind of calls the shots there. But actually, one of the barons has his own guard that ended up being promoted to the leader of the city guard. And she's kind of scary. I forget her name.
Anyone we should avoid beyond that?
Well, funny you should bring it up. You know, while we were packing up to head out of town, there was another wagon that left before us. And normally I wouldn't think anything of it, but most people don't actually leave Calavos. And if they do, obviously they got to be pretty well equipped to handle, as you know from the journey you just took. There's a ton of road in between here and Fill Point and no checkpoints to restock on gear. So you got to be pretty well, stocked up on goods to make it out of here. But they packed like nothing. It was just a few dudes, ragtag commoners, and a wagon pulled by an ox, and the thing looked like it was falling apart. And obviously, an ox isn't going to get you very far. I thought that was kind of weird. Well, we actually just passed them. They left before us, but we passed them a little while back. And I thought, I don't know. They just pulled over near the marshes. I don't know if everyone's desperate in the lower city. My guess is they're probably just scavenging for some critters or something for a free meal. But I don't know. Most people avoid the marshes. They're scared of it. So I just thought it was weird. I don't know if it's anything, but if you come across them, maybe just keep your eye on them as you pass them by. But yeah, that's about it.
And I'm gonna look at Chris. I'm sorry. Gosh, I can't. Names. Carl. Carl. I'm gonna try my best.
On the name.
I know. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna use my whisper cantrip again to whisper to him and be like, we've got to go check out those marshes, right? Like that's what this cleric has been telling me. There's some evil there. We've got to figure that out.
We got a job to do.
Yeah, can I see Thera give Carl a meaningful look and just infer that they're like, yeah, we're going there.
Mm-hmm.
We got a job to do, but should it lead us there, we're going in.
Or we could go there first. I'm cool with that.
We don't have enough supplies, I think, to
That's fair.
do that today.
I guess we should meet with this baron and
yes, we
get our bearings, as you will. See what I did there?
Or our baronings.
Our baronings. I like that.
Thank you.
If this party already passed that other wagon, are we going to pass them on our way to the gate?
That's what he's telling you. You might.
So we might keep an eye out for them as we approach and see.
For sure,
see if they're still out there.
What do your elf eyes see?
Can I look over there and see if I can see that far?
Well, you're only you're half elf, so you've only got like one eye. That's good.
One eye, yeah.
Oh,
really?
I see. One good eye.
It's just awful. I would like to remind everybody I'm full elf, high elf, if you will.
What does your elf eye see then?
So as you're looking out, you can tell like the water table's basically at ground level. Like, it's all muck. And there are pockets of, like, just thick, mucky, like, puddles and ponds just dotted throughout the entire place. The grass is kind of this dull green, right? Like a sickly green. It doesn't look very easily traversable. Like, walking through that would be, especially if you had gear on, you'd probably be like, just looking at it, you're like, I'd probably be sinking just trying to walk through there.
That's about all we can glean from that.
That's about all you can glean from the marshes. They're just swampy marshes at this point.
Well, I guess if we run into these other travelers, we may want to
We can keep an eye out as we approach. Yeah.
do some questioning there.
Did we ask this party where they're heading now, since they're leaving town? I can't remember if we did.
Oh, no, I don't think we did.
I did ask where they're headed, but I don't think he answered the question. I think he just kind of.
Free to ask him again.
Oh yeah, so I was just say, where were you heading again? Like he already told us.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, we figured we'd probably head through Phil Point, hit Pananthro, and then maybe cut south and head down to Bilderberg and just kind of lay low and get some odd jobs here and there. And we got to resupply and refund, you know what I mean, before we can head out and do anything meaningful again.
Sure. Makes sense.
Well, best of luck, friends. I really hope your business there goes well, whatever it is. Not my business, and I won't pry. But good luck to you.
Thanks for the information, friends. Good luck to you as well.
Yates doesn't look up. She sort of just gives a nod. Later, friends.
I'm going to tap Delia like gently on the shoulder and then just hop out of the wagon.
All right. So they're going to get all situated, and their wagon's going to start moving on along. And Ergs is, at this point, feeling kind of anxious to get there, right? He doesn't really like being here. He's like, you guys ready to head out?
Yes.
Yeah. Continue
Make it
on.
happen.
Okay. About 20 minutes pass, and this big, craggy rock formation on your left as you're headed west has sort of just been there that whole time. And Erix has explained to you, that's literally part of the wall of Calavos, the basin that surrounds it. And I don't know if you guys have the key art of Calavos handy.
I do.
Yeah, so you can see sort of how it's in that basin. You would be you see in the key art, there's some travelers kind of looking down over the city, and that's where the winding road starts to descend into the city. This isn't a picture of the city, right? Key art, just a reminder.
Right.
But anyways, you're going to be like down here is, the road kind of wraps around this side here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see my cursor, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there it is. So that's the whereabouts in relation to the city you are. Okay, so about 20 minutes pass, and there's that little half stone wall on your left, a ditch down to your right, and that leads down into the mucky marshes. And at this point, you're going to come around a little bend in the road where there were some bushes, and as you come around that bend, now suddenly in view, not too far in front of you, maybe about 40, 50 feet, you see a wagon. And it's like a carriage, a little wagon carriage kind of a thing, and it's turned up on its side,
Uh-oh.
Oh.
kind of wide across the road.
Is there anybody around it?
Everybody, give me a perception check.
Okie dokie.
All right.
And it's the D20 again.
Yeah, D20. Add your perception modifier.
6 plus 4, 10.
I rolled a 12 plus 2 is 14.
7 plus 3, 10.
So you're all kind of like peering forward, trying to, what in the world is going on? Ergs doesn't really sense anything that makes him stop either. He's sort of like confused, like, what in the world is that? And so the carriage keeps moving forward. And
I put my hand on his shoulder and ask him to stop, just because this is making me feel uneasy.
okay. So let's say
I'm more
you
curious than anything. I'm not.
Oh, I'm going to go loot that wagon.
I'm 100% uneasy. This immediately makes me tense up and feel wrong. So
you put your hand on his shoulder and ask him to stop. He's going to sort of pull back on the reins, and the two horses pulling it are going to halt. And he's kind of scratching his head like, what's going on here?
I'm gonna say, Kale's blowing this way out of proportion. I'm gonna jump down and show him there's, just gonna go walk towards it.
Okay.
I'm going to go with you. because I'm looking to loot. So
I
So
whisper,
Yeah.
guys, hold on a minute. Like, slow down. I'm gonna draw my bow. I'm literally gonna like jump over the side of the cart and sort of into a crouch, and like I'm gonna draw my bow and kind of creep up behind him, but not like I'm this whole thing is making me giving me the heebie-jeebies.
okay. So they are approaching this wagon, and let's
Oh,
say
boy.
they
he
get.
brought up the map, folks. That
Oh,
means
boy.
we're about to fight.
So
I can
Kale's
feel it.
gonna be kind of back here-ish. Down to your right, there are a couple of mud puddles. This is about a 10-foot drop off on your right,
Okay.
and a
Okay.
tree over here as well. At this point, once you get this close, 3 figures are gonna pop up. One pops up from right behind the wagon, and another was creeping right here on the side of the ditch.
Is he down 10 feet from the ditch?
So it's sort of a slope, and he was kind of laid down in the tall grass there, and he just sort of pops up. He's kind of standing on the slope itself. So the one that's standing behind the wagon, he's going to sort of come forward a little bit so he can see you. And at this point, he's going to bark out, "Not another move! Don't take another step!" He's holding a pitchfork. Okay, he's
Are you
got
kidding
like
me right now?
rags on. I mean, his shirt's barely holding together. His shoes are in shambles. The guy on the slope doesn't even have shoes on. He's barefoot, but he's holding a shovel, and then the guy behind the bushes as well, trying to look intimidating. He's got his fists up, like he's getting ready to punch a bush or something. Right? All right. So this guy is speaking. Hey, all right, everyone, disrobe, take your armor off, your weapons off, lay them on the ground, and walk back the way you came. Leave the wagon. Yeah, leave the wagon. They all sort of chime in. Yeah, leave the wagon.
Usually, I may make a man buy me dinner first, but
Of course, you would hit on them.
So they're still they're just
he
shouting
told
at
me
you.
to disrobe.
Come
so
on now, do it now,
I'm gonna make a joke.
or we'll hurt you.
Oh, I'm so scared. You little
Can I
baby
do-
pitchfork.
I have like a intimidation proficiency.
Ah.
Can I?
You can try. You
Ooh,
want
I
to?
like this idea.
What do you say? How do you say it? Give me an intimidation check as you do.
Ooh, hold on. Let me think here. Drop your weapons, or you're going to be riding that pitchfork home.
Ooh, I like that.
All right, thank you. I just
love
came
it.
up with that.
All right,
All
roll
right,
that.
and then
Give me your
what's the-
intimidation check.
What's that going to be? What
It's going to roll a d20. Add your
Okay.
intimidation modifier to it. Basically, this is what's called a skill check. So I have set difficulty classes, which is basically a number you need to roll at or higher in order for this to be a success. And I set that number knowing who the character is, what their motivation is, why they're there, right? All that stuff.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yes.
Yep.
So I rolled a 10, but at the +2 to my proficiency, so I rolled a 12 total.
All right. So he's going to shake his head. Nah, I'm afraid I'm not going to do that, friend. I'm going to need you to comply. I got no home to go back to anyways. So just sort of, you guys, keen eyesight. Why don't you give me a little perception, little check here, Mr. Kale.
Why does anyone forget my eyesight?
You're wearing sunglasses.
Well, he's sort of posted up,
that
you
makes
know,
sense.
with his bow drawn, like he's kind of on alert.
That is a 17 plus 4. You said perception, yeah?
Yeah. So it's,
17 plus 4, 21.
to you, this is pretty clear. These guys look completely destitute. These guys look like guys who have nothing to lose because they have absolutely nothing. And that's sort of the read that you're getting here.
Those
Sure.
would be the most dangerous types of people.
Well,
Um,
I didn't see that, so I'm gonna throw fireball at the close guy on the
Oh,
right.
no.
All right, so you're going to open up with
Oh, no.
A
Oh,
firebolt.
open
Sorry,
fire-
I don't have a fireball yet. I have a firebolt.
All right, so go ahead and cast your
I told
firebolt.
you I'm chaos, people. This is what I'm gonna do. We're gonna make it interesting. All right, so I have to do a 1d10, right? I have to do a d20 first to see if it hits?
Yep, so D20 to
Okay.
see if it hits. And you're trying to beat his armor class.
I got a 10.
I'm assuming
Okay.
it's very low.
Did I get it?
Okay.
Okay, so
Well, Yeah, is do I see her ignite this fireball bolt in her hand? And is it like is she just throwing it, or is there like a second where we could try to talk her down?
If she's
It's already
doing
been
it,
passed.
she's doing it.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
doing it.
Okay.
There's,
Yeah,
no,
that's
there's
fine.
no
That's fine.
time. There's
So
no time. Okay.
she
Just sounds
rolled
good.
a 10. She gets a +4 to hit. So
Yep.
that's a 14. That is greater than his armor class. So that is going to hit. Why don't you roll
gonna-
that D10 and tell me what
All
you
right.
get?
Give me something good. Give Mama something good. A 1. Are you kidding me?
Oh no.
Why you do this? Why?
Well, your firebolt goes out, and he sees it like he reacts in time to sort of try and get out of the way of it, but it sort of like grazes past him and hits him on the arm, and visibly gets a burn mark there on his arm. Right at this point,
he basically got tickled by
everybody
my fireball.
needs to roll for initiative.
Oh, okay.
So roll a d20, add your
yes.
initiative bonus to
I get
it.
a +1.
16 plus 3 is 19.
Rolled an
Now I'm
8
getting my
plus
good
1
rolls.
is 9.
I just realized I have a bag of dice, and I pulled them all out, and I'm missing one of my D6s. And now I'm sad. I don't know where it is. My kids have been playing with my dice. I blame them. 13 plus 1 is 15.
15 plus
So,
19.
Yeah.
we are going to go Kelvor. It is now your turn. So at this
okay.
point, they all raise their weapons and they're ready to fight this thing out.
Yeah, there's no
They
talking
raise
about
their
now, I think.
pitchfork, shovel, and fist. I mean, those are tools. Those don't feel like weapons to me. But I am. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like being a very neutral character is like I don't want to hurt these guys, but they're going to attack us. Like I will defend the party. So
You could
being is
even
that they're
try to stick to non-lethal if that's that's always an option. Obviously, you can't do that with your.
yeah,
It has
I'm
to be
too
an
far away at this
unarmed
point.
melee attack to for the finishing blow. But yeah,
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty far away, and obviously my bow is kind of my primary weapon. So, could I try as an action to influence them rather than attack?
that's something you can try to do.
And if I make a ranged attack, can I make that with the intention of it being non-lethal? Or is that like a grazing blow? Like can I aim for like his knee, for example, and like, or is this too specific?
Yeah, so that targeting usually when it comes to like targeting weak points on enemies, that's usually something you do with like creatures, monsters. Maybe they have a crit spot or a weak spot. Especially things that take up more than one block of space on a map. But these guys, they're just dudes. It's not like they have these. It would be pretty difficult. I mean, you'd be a heck of an archer if you could like specifically target a kneecap or something. So usually we say no. Sometimes we do what's called the rule of cool, where in the moment, if it just seems like, yeah, that's a sick idea, dude, let's just roll with it.
Right. Okay.
But at this point, if you're shooting an arrow, I mean, it might hit good. It might hit bad.
Yeah. I mean, if he's gonna loose an arrow, he's probably gonna loose it with purpose. So, yeah, I for my first turn, I think I'm gonna. So, does one of them sort of stand out as like a leader, or are these three just kind of?
So the one that was speaking is the one holding the pitchfork. He's right here.
Okay, I want to try to influence him before I start flinging arrows. I think because like I've got my bow drawn. Like, hopefully, they can see me. Hopefully, that is in itself, like a level of measure of intimidation.
And remember that Carl already attempted an intimidation, rolled a 12, right? Was that what she had?
I believe so.
Yeah, and was unsuccessful.
Well, yeah, I don't have anything really in intimidation. It would probably end up being more of a persuasion. I want to try to influence them to sort of like stand down, like this isn't worth your life, kind of thing. Okay,
so once if that's what you want to do, that will be your action for your turn. You still have movement and stuff as well. But yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine. You just roll a persuasion check for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to target that guy who was speaking with the pitchfork and just be like, look, guys, you don't have to do this. This isn't worth your life. Like, if you commit to this, we will see it through. Essentially, that's what I'm going to say to this guy.
Okay.
And that's the persuasion check.
Yeah, roll me a persuasion check.
It's +0, so we'll just see. It's a 16.
So he hears you, and you can see sort of like this hesitation for a moment where he's like considering it. But at this point, he just feels so committed that, I mean, he kind of speaks up. He's like, listen, we're doing this because we have to. I can't go home empty-handed. And at that, he's going to shrug off your attempt at dissuading him.
Okay. So now I do have movement and a bonus action left.
Yeah.
Is that sort of like a bush to my left, or is that like a rock?
Bush.
The one in the middle.
Bush. Just a bush.
That's a bush.
Just a bush.
And what is each block? What, like 5 feet?
5 feet. And
okay.
To move diagonally is also 5 feet, right? So you could go 1, 2, right? That would be 2. Instead of going, 1, 2, 3, 4 to get there, you could go cut it.
30 feet of movement.
30 feet. Okay.
I can move
6 blocks.
6 blocks.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna move, if I can, 4 blocks left, and
1,
then
2, 3, 4. So you hop that fence there. I'm not gonna. It's short enough that that's not gonna be difficult terrain.
Okay, and then move diagonally up left 2 blocks.
1,
sort of get
2.
behind
So
that
you're
bush.
here. Okay.
I don't think I have anything good.
You measuring?
Line of sight is what I'm looking at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can I oh no, hide would be an action for me because I'm not a rogue. Okay. I don't think I have a bonus action that I care to use at the moment, so I think I'll probably just end my turn there.
Okay. At that point, this guy is going to go here, hop the sort of like leg of the, I don't know what you call that the arm of the wagon that heads over to the thing that hooks to the ox, right? And he's going to come right here and advance on Carl. He's going to be yelling the whole time, ah! Right? And at this point, he's going to raise that pitchfork up and try to reach out and strike at Carl.
Kira.
Big mistake.
Huh?
Oh, that's there.
Oh, I wanted him to go to Carl.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I'm playful.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he can do it. Perfect. So let's say he's right here now. He's going to raise that pitchfork up over his head, strike out at the big burly guy in front of him, right?
Big mistake.
I'm assuming this
The
doesn't
short,
hit.
burly guy, but yeah.
So
Carl ducks.
with his hit bonus, he rolled a
He just
3.
ducks.
Okay. My armor is 13.
I'm assuming that doesn't hit. Okay, so he just he looks so clumsy, like he is so out of his element here. He just takes the most awkward swing, almost like a kid swinging a baseball bat for the first time, and no one's taught him how. Right?
He like swings around and like falls down like in a just completely whiffs.
He
I guess
hits
that'd be a 1.
absolutely nothing with it, and that will end his turn, and that will take us over to Thera, who already used her action to initiate. So she doesn't have an action, but she still has movement.
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna hide behind Carl. Like attack him. It was his idea.
I'm sorry. Okay, so you're gonna go
I'm gonna literally
here?
go behind him and put my hands on his shoulders and be like, "You got this, man. I believe in you."
So I've got you right there.
Okay.
So this guy, are you? I'm assuming ending your turn then.
Yeah, that's
So this guy's gonna run up through the bushes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. He's right here. And at this point, he is going to scoop up a rock that's at his feet and just heave it at Kelvor. He actually so he rolled a 19.
Oof.
And I don't know, do you have any reactions or anything that would prevent this hit from hitting before I roll for damage?
The only reactions I currently have, I believe, are just opportunity attack, which doesn't apply. So I don't have like a dodge or anything.
All right. So I'm gonna roll for damage here. And it is going to be 1 point of damage.
Oof. Ow.
So
tickles.
Just get hit with a rock.
yeah, you just got bonked with a rock. Biff.
Okay, well now I'm mad.
That really hurt.
And by the way,
that was a rock, honestly.
I'm gonna leave it to you guys to keep track of your own hit points.
That was
Yep,
really
no,
uncool, man.
Okay, and that is gonna end his turn, and
So
that's going to take us to Carl.
Coral.
Coral.
All right. So can I run through a scenario because I'm not sure exactly all the things that I can do?
Yeah, break it down for me.
Okay, so can I rage? Is that an action or a bonus action?
Bonus action.
That's a bonus action.
Yep. So you
Is-
can do that and then attack.
Is throwing a action or bonus
It is an action.
So I can rage and then... Now what if I'm picking somebody up and throwing them at somebody else?
Oh.
So
Are you throwing me?
No, of course not. I would never do that.
So at your level, so you would not be able to pick this man up and hurl him
He
at
was
this
gonna
point.
throw. He was gonna throw me.
I would never do that. I was going to throw the man
actually-
in front of me at the man
I'm just
on the
gonna
side
let
over
you
there.
know, Thera would be both mad and like really respect you for doing that if you actually chose to just yeet her.
All right, so that's a no-go. I'll still rage, though, so I'm going to rage.
Zero likes it rough.
Yeah, he sure does.
These guys are trying to rob us at the side of the road. He's been there before. We're raging, you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, making an attack with strength. A melee attack, you do +2 damage to any damage roll. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws.
Basically, as long as you're attacking on your turn, you will continue your rage. If you go an entire turn without attacking or you are incapacitated, then your rage
Right,
will end.
okay. So that's just like Baldur's Gate. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess, so I'm raging, and I'm going to attack Mr. Man right in front of me with the great axe. I rolled a 16.
So that's gonna hit.
Okay, and then I roll, it says 1d12 for my hit dice.
Okay.
So you'll roll a d12. You'll add the +4 for the axe and then the +2 for your rage. So it'll be +6, I believe, to whatever you roll on your d12.
Okay, well, I rolled a 2, but thank goodness I get a +4 from the axe and +2 from raging, so that would be 8.
8.
All right. So you take a big chunk out of this. Did this axe come? He doesn't have any armor on, and you can see, like you hit center mass.
I'm like almost sorry I'm doing it, but I'm also like not at the same time.
Yeah. So think like his upper right shoulder to his lower left hip from your perspective, right?
Oh,
And
wait,
you're
like
just
all
and you're
the
gonna
way through, right?
no, but you get a huge slash in here. It rips his shirt clean off, and you can just see the slash mark across his, pretty malnourished physique.
Oh, not hot.
And he is bleeding rather profusely at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there it goes. Damn, Carl. Chill.
Anything else you want to do before you end your turn? You've used a bonus action and an action, but you do have movement.
Yeah, and I don't want to leave Thera out in the open, so I'm going to stay
Okay.
right where I am.
All right,
Oh.
sounds
The
good.
word that is
Even
not
though
from Carl's
I
vocabulary.
started this whole mess.
Yeah, well, we're a team at the end of the day.
He's lawful good, baby.
Because
That's
I'm
right.
so
Player to the end.
I'm so adorable, I'm easily forgiven. I love that.
We're gonna have words later, but right now.
So, Shovel Man is now up. He's going to come running up the hill. Ah! He's going to come right next to you. So he is directly engaged with both of you at this point. He's going to raise that shovel up over his head, and he's going to try and swing it down at Carl.
Righty?
Oh my gosh, I'm rolling so bad for these guys. He's going to get a 4,
Not
which
quite.
doesn't hit. Right? Again, just this guy's so out of his element. He ain't a warrior. He has no training. This isn't even a proper weapon. Just completely whiffs. Hits nothing but the ground itself at the end of his swing. He kind of awkwardly and clumsily tries to pick it back up to ready it again.
And I think Thera just starts bursting out laughing at this point. Like she cannot control how funny this situation is.
I'm rolling
to her.
bad for these dudes, right? Kelvor, that's going to bring us back to the top of initiative to you. But before you take a turn, there is going to be this shrieking scream that just comes from your right, from deep in the marshes, and it's just going to pierce the sky, echoing through the air. Raise your hands up to grab, like, I need everyone to do a wisdom saving throw for me. Okay, so
Oh.
in your saving throw section of your character sheet, which would be the top left side, should say saving throws. There should be a wisdom saving throw. You'll see if you have proficiency modifier to that or not. But you're just going to roll a d20. Tell me what you get. If you get a modifier, add that to your roll.
Ooh, that's not
Well,
good.
then I
Okay.
gotta look because mine's online, so I gotta figure out where my saving throw is.
I'm going to roll for my NPCs.
Top left box under your character picture and like strength dex right below that.
Oh, okay. So which one is it that we're doing?
Wisdom saving
Wisdom.
throw.
Wisdom. So I have a +1.
Which die is this?
So roll a d20 and add
Okay.
your saving throw wisdom modifier to it.
12.
18. I don't think I
Flip
get
to
any.
you guys.
I have strength and constitution. I don't think I have a wisdom bonus
Yeah.
for my saving throws.
And what'd you get, Kelvor?
I rolled a 5, but I have a +2, so that's 7, which I don't think is going to beat whatever the DC is for this.
So this piercing shriek just rings out through the sky. Everyone sort of grabs their ears, is kind of like shaken by it, visibly shaken by it. Kelvor, you hear this sort of like deep into your brain. You can't really shake it, so you're going to be stunned for this turn.
No.
Oh no.
And you're going to be unable to attack.
Come on.
Now, the guy directly next to you is also he's gonna drop to his knees, put his hands on his ears. He's similar, he's just feeling the same pressure that you are.
Okay.
Now, the other two are gonna be able to sort of shake it off. They kind of like shake their heads like, oh man, and shake it off. They're fine. Don't seem to be otherwise too rattled by it. Carl, you also are able to sort of just shake it off as well. Thera, same thing with you as with the other two, with Kale and the guy next to him. You're going to, this is just going to be too much. They're overwhelming for a moment. And you're not going to be able to,
But I got a 12.
and you're going to be stunned for this turn.
Poo. That's annoying.
So, Kelvor, his turn passes. The guy in front of Carl, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
He was next to the initiative. He is, again, going to raise that pitchfork and try to seize an opportunity here where he thinks people are rattled by this sound. He's going to take a strike here at... he's actually going to move, I think, to this space so that he's directly engaged with both of you. And he's going to take a swing with that pitchfork again at you, Carl. And this time he's going to get a 16.
Okay, yeah, that'll hit.
Okay. So I'm going to roll for DiMaggio here. 2 points of damage to you. So he's going to swing this pitchfork. This time he actually finds purchase on you. It's going to find a little bit of a gap in your armor, and you're going to feel some pain from one of the points of the pitchfork kind of cutting your skin a little bit.
Ouchie.
Yeah. And that's going to end his turn. That's going to take us to Thera, who is stunned. Her turn is going to pass. And then that's going to take us to our next bandito, who is stunned. He can't do anything either. And that's going to bring us over to Carl, our red circle here on the map. What's Carl going to do?
Pull that pitchfork out of my chest for one. So I can attack the guy to my left, and then I can cleave to the right. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. For sure. I'm going to roll to swing at the guy on my right who's already...
Okay. Roll for a hit there, yeah.
Oh, I rolled a 2.
And that is not going to connect.
Well, wait. Do I get anything for bonus, right? No, I don't think so, right?
Unless you have a 2-hit modifier.
I mean, you would need a pretty sizable hit modifier to overcome that. And
I don't think I do, no.
Swing and a miss. All right.
I guess once again I'm not going to leave Thera just hanging out there to dry. So I'm going to hold my ground and try to stick with her. So I'm going to not move. I'm just going to plant my feet and wait for what comes next.
Sounds good. Okay, and that is going to take us over to the final muchacho, and he is going to, with his shovel, try and take a swing at Thera behind you.
Oh, rude.
So
this is quite a comical
Oh
fight.
my gosh, I can't! It's a 1!
I love it.
So he's gonna...
Well, my armor class is 11, so I think that beats that.
So he's gonna swing this shovel, and he can barely even hold the weight of it from
Can I
the
just
swing.
catch it with my hand?
He loses his footing, and his foot slips on the hill behind him. He's gonna slide down awkwardly to the bottom. I'm gonna have him tumble down the hill really awkwardly, legs up in the air. He's gonna be prone at the bottom of the hill.
Oh, that is so embarrassing.
What an idiot.
Oh my gosh. These guys are the worst bandits I've ever met.
So, Kelvor, at this point, you're going to shake off that screech, whatever the heck it was. And you're kind of back in the action, like, crap, gosh, I gotta get moving here. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to sort of, take a quick look around, see that this guy is still kind of in front of me, and I'm, from my periphery.
Is he still affected by this stunning thing, or does that end at the next?
It'll end at the end of his turn.
His turn, okay.
Or at the beginning of his turn, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I can see there's still a guy over there, by the other two, and I presume I saw that guy fall backwards down the hill and out of sight.
Oh!
Yeah. So at this point, I just want to address the threat in front of me and then try to, move in to regroup with the other two. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I've already got an arrow knocked, so I'm just going to raise my bow and take a shot at this guy.
Okay.
He threw a rock at my face. They're not backing down. And,
it was pretty rude.
I don't desire to kill them, but I will defend myself and my friends. So I'm just going to raise my bow and loose an arrow at this guy.
Okay. Roll for hit.
Okay. I have a +5 to hit with my longbow.
Love that.
So that is a 12 + 5 is 17.
It's going to hit.
Okay, so...
Give me that DiMaggio.
There's my D8. I have a 1D8 +3 with my longbow. That is a 6 + 3 is 9.
9! All right.
9!
So that arrow is going to go... at that distance, he's 10 feet away from you, 15 feet away from you?
Yeah.
For a trained archer like yourself, hard to miss. And you're going to get straight into the fleshy bit sort of under his left shoulder, kind of in his from your perspective, his left pectoral. And I think it's going to lodge in good and deep. You said 9?
9, correct.
Yeah. And he is reeling from it. He kind of looks down at it like trying to take it in, and blood just starts to gush out of the wound. Anything you want to do movement-wise before we end your turn?
Well, he's still up, presumably.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna... Yeah, I don't think this cover is doing me any good. I'm just gonna move 6 blocks straight to the right, basically just to try to get behind the other two. Hop that fence again. Yeah. Just right over there.
All right, there you go.
Hey, Calvar, do you think these were the bandits that killed your parents, or were they more competent than this?
Yeah, these guys aren't really... I don't even call them bandits. These guys are just poor, miscreants that are desperate, have nothing else. I kind of almost feel for them, but they are attacking us. So
that's going to take us to the pitchfork bandito. He's in rough shape, does not look well, but he's going to raise that pitchfork up and try and get another jab up into Carl, who is his predominant threat, who's done so much damage to him. Oh my gosh, dude! I cannot lie about this. I got a 2. These guys I cannot roll high with. I swear to Bob. Again, that pitchfork is just—he's not even gonna get anywhere close. You don't have to even dodge it. You just kind of just look at it. Seriously, dude. That's what you've got. It's just gonna go wide over your shoulder and find nothing but air. And he's just gonna kind of curse as he's trying to keep himself from falling apart. And that's going to take us to Thera.
Do I want to hit a guy while he's down? What would a chaotic person do? Or do I want to...
Keep in mind, any ranged attack against a prone enemy has disadvantage, while a melee attack against a prone enemy has advantage.
Well, that's just dumb. They're just lying there.
Just lying there, right?
Am I close enough to this pitchfork guy to do shocking grasp on him?
You're in melee range, yes. You may shocking grasp him.
I'm going to shocking grasp him.
Okay, roll for hit.
So, that's a nat 20.
So that's a critical. Beautiful. So that's a crit. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll your damage dice twice and then add your modifier to it if you have a modifier on top of it.
My modifier is +2. So.
Okay.
Oh, that's a 1. Come on, baby. And a 5, so 6, 8.
All right. 8 damage is more than double what you need to kill this guy. So tell me how you do this. Narrate his death for me.
Does he still have the pitchfork?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me it attracts like a lightning bolt and just zaps him.
Can I grab the pitchfork actually with the shocking grasp and electrocute him through it?
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna shove that straight into his chest while still being electrocuted. Also maniacally laughing because this is just the best part of my day so far.
So you reach out, you grab the pitchfork, a jolt of electricity kind of surges through it, up his arm and like into his eyes. You can see his head sort of like shaking violently through it all. And then as he's already cooked, there's nothing. He's a husk of a man, and you're just gonna spin that pitchfork around and ram it into him, laughing as he just falls into a crispy pile of man flesh on the ground. Dead.
Oh, that felt good. And I'm gonna look at the other two guys and I'm gonna be like, it's so special that you guys were here for my first ever kill. I don't know if I've ever confessed that, but this is my first kill.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It felt really good. I feel like basically, Carl, you kind of owe me. I kind of saved your life there. We can talk about that later.
So at that point, this dude is gonna scream out at you, "Monster!" And he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to be right here and advance on you.
Oh, boy.
And he doesn't have a weapon, but he's just going to try and deck you. Okay?
What is with people punching me? Gosh.
I'm so tired of getting punched, man.
I don't want to be punched anymore.
So that's an 8. I'm guessing that does not hit. I literally that's the highest hit roll I roll for these guys, I think, other than the rock throw, right? He threw a rock. But
yes.
It's going to be hard for him to punch with an arrow in his shoulder.
Yeah.
I am 11 in armor class. So.
He is moving awkwardly with this arrow lodged in him. He's not in great shape, right?
Yep.
And he doesn't seem to have full body control with his current situation.
And I start laughing.
Unable to hit you with this punch that he throws. And that's going to take us to Carl.
Can I pick up that pitchfork and just shove it in that man?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do that.
Rule of cool. I'm not gonna make it cost an action to grab that. I'm just assuming that with a free hand, like you could probably hold that pitchfork one-handed and your axe one-handed and attack with one of them, right?
Yeah, he's
a stout dude. So let's just say you thunk, pull it out, take a swing with it.
Right.
So a pitchfork is
improvised.
This is not an. You're literally equipping this pitchfork at this point. So
I rolled an 11 plus 2, 13.
Yep, that's gonna hit. Now roll 1d4 and then add 2.
Rolled a 3 plus 2 is 5.
Okay, how does he die?
I'm just gonna lodge it straight in his chest. He's gonna like all the air is gonna go out of his windpipe, and he's just gonna fall to the ground and just completely get crumpled and humiliated.
All right.
Oof.
He is deceased.
He's not just dead, he's humiliated.
This is one of the most humiliating ways you could possibly die. Anything else you want to do with your movement?
Can I go up to the edge of the...
There?
Yeah, right there. That's perfect.
All right, so you're now standing at the top of the hill. This guy did not see his friends die as he's laying on his back, sort of caked in mud, right?
Is it so we're still in combat, right? We can't break combat to
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, that'll be well, actually, maybe I should throw something at him. Is he standing
That's
up
an
yet?
action. You already took an action.
Oh, yeah, you're what's the... Oh, yeah, you're okay. I'll just end my turn at the
Okay.
peak.
So he's prone. He's going to have to use half of his movement to just stand back, pick himself up out of the mud, and he's going to awkwardly scramble up the hill this way to right here. And at this point, he's just going to see the carnage. He sees his two dead friends. He sees Thera, who's just like grinning ear to ear, like this is some comedy routine she's been pulled into, and he's just horrified by what he's seeing. But he's going to take his shovel and clearly he deems sort of Carl the biggest threat here. He saw him take a big chunk out of his friend. He's going to take a swing at you. And this time he's going to get a 19. So that's going to hit, I'm assuming. So we're going to... Let me... Get a d4. Blah, blah, blah. 1 point of damage.
Oh, okay.
Bonk. Just a bonk hits you in the armor.
Like that Paul Rudd gif where he's like looking at a computer and he's like, ooh, I'm okay.
So there's sort of like this clang. It almost feels like it shakes him more than it hurts you, but you do take a little bit of damage to it. Like, ow! That's going to end his turn. It's going to come back around top of the initiative to Kelvor.
Okay, if this guy's still in it, then I mean, yeah, I see him scramble up the hill and swing the shovel and hear the clang of this metal on, metal-studded leather armor or whatever he's wearing, and it's just kind of over at this point. I'm gonna just knock another arrow and just take a shot at him.
Okay.
From where I am, I think.
End it quickly. Be
roll for hit.
Try.
Have some sympathy.
Roll for hits. This is D20 plus 5 to hit. That is a 10 plus 5 is 15.
Yep, it's gonna hit. Give me damage.
So I need a D8 plus 3. That is a 2 plus 3 is 5.
All right, arrow's gonna fly. Thunk. Find some purchase. Gonna hit him right in the thigh. Okay, he's gonna let out a yelp of pain. Ah! And kind of grab it with one hand while he's hanging onto the shovel with the other, and blood's gonna start pouring out of that a little bit.
Still alive.
That's gonna. Are you gonna?
Face really shook me up. I'm not shooting very well.
You doing anything with your movement? Or are we moving on?
I'll move. I think like two spaces to the right. So I'm kind of at the edge of the ravine.
Yeah.
I want to be able to see, if he gets knocked back down or whatever and is still alive.
All right.
See him.
Thera, you're up.
I want to set him on fire.
Okay. How?
So I'm going to cast Firebolt.
You have disadvantage melee range.
Why?
You're too close.
Range spell.
Do I get a disadvantage for Sorceress Burst? Because I could set him on fire that way.
Does
Make-
say a range.
make a
Range
range.
is-
Yeah, so it'll also have disadvantage on
Oh, fine. I'll just shockingly grasp him again. This is boring.
hit. You can if you're comfortable with
Y'all
taking
need to
your lowest
stop being
roll.
so close to me. No. Heavens no. I'm going to shockingly grasp him and say, I wish
To
I
be
was lighting you
fair-
on fire instead.
To be fair, you were walking into a precarious situation and you decided to walk up to it with Carl, right?
Yeah.
I tried
Yeah.
to tell you.
I have
I
no
warned you.
I have no regrets.
All right, go ahead and roll for a hit.
Okay. That's a 2.
Not gonna hit.
Plus 2. So
Not
it's
gonna
a
hit.
4. Tacky mushrooms. God
Do you want to
dang
like
it.
spit on him or anything while you're there before we
Yes,
move
I'm
on?
going to say, I still wish you were on fire, dang it.
All right,
Ah.
Carl, you're up. What do you do?
I'm just gonna swing for the fences.
Just gonna try and end it.
Yep.
Swing away, Carl.
All right. Do you drop the pitchfork and go back to two-handing your
We're going
great
back
axe?
to the great axe. Yep.
Okay, cool.
I assume the pitchfork is sticking out of the other guy's chest still.
Yeah, I wasn't able to pull that out.
Okay, gotcha.
20.
Okay.
Rolled a 4.
2.
Awesome.
Are you too weak to pull it out?
All right. Not gonna hit.
Not
Just
gonna
one
happen. All right.
So this guy has now dodged a shocking grasp that just didn't connect. A great axe came over and he kind of managed to get out of the way of that too. And he's like, he's got a little bit flustered, but he's just going to take a quick swing at Thera. He's going to roll a 16.
Oh no.
So that's going to hit. Let me roll for DiMaggio here. He's going to get a 2. So 2 points of damage. Take 2 points of damage from the shovel. It kind of hits you square in the chest with a
Okay.
friggin' shovel. The
I only have 6
disrespect.
hit points now.
The disrespect.
So squishy.
He's still bleeding pretty profusely from that thigh wound with the arrow sticking out of it. We're coming back around to Kelvor. What you gonna do?
With a heavy sigh, I'm just gonna knock another arrow and try to end this.
Okay.
Because my bow is gonna do more damage than my dagger. I mean, I do technically also have a short sword, I think, but I'm just gonna just take a shot at this guy and try to put him down.
Okay. Let her fly.
Okay. There's a 16 plus 5 to hit is 21.
Gonna hit.
Yes.
And this is a D8 plus 3. That is a 7
Kill him.
plus 3 is 10.
Yeah.
Kill him.
So just straight through the neck, just clean through and through. It's like sticking out the other side. He's just gonna drop to his knees, gurgle a couple of times, then drop down dead. Deceased.
There you go.
Boom. Combat ended. You guys have killed 3 ruffians who ambushed you in the road.
Emaciated.
Lose
Yeah.
those status.
Doesn't feel great, to be honest.
Thera just goes immediately to rummaging through.
I'm
They
literally
have
just gonna start
you.
checking those bodies.
You find a half-eaten browning apple,
It's disappointing.
and I think 6 pieces of copper.
Ooh.
6 copper
Oh.
coins, which are pennies. But if you want to
Are
put them in
you
your inventory,
serious?
you can put them in your inventory.
Yeah.
I might as well, I guess. We killed
Right?
for him.
So
I got stabbed with a trident.
someone offers.
That's true.
Someone's like, "Don't take my lollipop from me." Be like, I've literally killed for less. I mean, I have literally killed for less. Other than that, there's a shovel and a pitchfork. Both of them kind of rusty. That's
Doesn't
about
feel
it.
good not to get much from them. Can I give the apple to our horse?
Oh, it's nasty.
I mean, sure.
Horses don't care.
Sure. So you just proffer that. You just grab that apple off of
Giving it
that
to the
dead
horse.
corpse, and she just seems so unfazed by what just happened. They've just murdered 3 people. She just kind of strides over to the. Erg's is kind of hunkered down in the wagon, like, oh my gosh! And you're just gonna walk up and proffer this half-eaten apple to the horse. It's just gonna start nibbling.
Which I assume the horse takes gladly.
Mm-hmm.
I would like
rub his
to-
cute little nose.
I don't think we're not really keeping track of ammo, but I would like to essentially walk over, retrieve the arrows, and take the shovel and throw it in the back
Nerd
of the wagon,
alert.
because a shovel might come in handy.
Just chuck it in the back of the wagon.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
I'm gonna take the pitchfork and put it in the wagon because it's like my reward for killing that guy. It's my first kill.
covered in blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
You're
first
like a serial
victim.
killer.
My
What the heck?
first
You're taking
kill.
a trophy for this?
Yes, I'm taking a trophy. Why wouldn't I take a trophy?
Mm,
You have a problem
Keep
with
an eye on
that?
her.
you need
Keep my cat off.
She worries me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Thera is now feeding a half-eaten apple to a horse happily, and you're standing over these dead bodies. Your carriage driver Ergs is urging you to progress. He's now pretty anxious to get into the city. He doesn't like this stretch of the road.
Can we talk about being impulsive and maybe not trying to incinerate people the first thing when we meet them?
Helvor, I feel like we should be having this talk with him. Yes. I'm glad you brought it up.
Hold on a minute.
Hmm.
I didn't try to incinerate anybody. I think I attacked last. If I remember correctly.
Hmm. I could see the rage in your eyes, and I think that's what Carl here is trying to get at. So, I'm on board with this
Yes,
conversation.
yes.
Thank you for bringing it up, Carl. That was important for him to hear.
At the end of the day, they were trying to kill us, so I don't feel that bad about it, but I
Right.
think we maybe could have handled that maybe a little bit better.
I
So
have no
we were-
notes. I have
No notes. None.
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 No
Well,
notes.
I might want to try to
To-
keep our heads down until we know what we're getting into.
To be fair, you did try to intimidate him with the threat of murder.
Yeah, well, I didn't mean it. I was just trying to,
Yeah, really, if we think about it, this is on you, Carl.
um,
Really makes you think, doesn't it?
Would you
Yeah.
stop yapping and get that thing out of the road?
oh,
Okay,
right. We got to worry about
Can we
that.
kill
later,
him?
don't we?
Can we kill him?
Ergs. I
Yeah.
don't think we should kill
No, leave
Ergs.
Ergs
He's our
alone.
driver.
He's a person.
He's an
He's
okay, well,
scared.
I guess,
people.
He's
I
scared.
guess
Yeah,
I'll walk up to the
just do
wagon
something. Yeah.
and try to right it on its wheels and shove it off the road.
So
Ooh,
give me
my
a
dice.
strength.
Hold on 1 second.
You're gonna have to give me a strength check, and do either of you want to try to assist him in this? You can
Yeah.
lend a hand.
Yeah.
I
One
mean,
moment, please.
He's
No.
got more strength than I
that
do. but
feels
I'll
kind
try
of
to
beneath
assist.
Thera.
Sure. I tell you what,
I
if
don't think she's gonna do manual labor.
if Kelvor attempts to try and help you shove this thing, I will grant you advantage on the roll.
Oh, wonderful.
So you can roll twice, take your highest number, and add your strength modifier to it.
A 7. My strength modifier is a +2, so a 7 and a 14, so 16.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad I gave you advantage. Otherwise, you would have looked pretty weak in front of your friends. With a little assistance from Kelvor, heave, and it kind of just topples over and kind of comes down with a bit of a crash on all 4 wheels. But like I don't know if you remember Rodris, who you spoke to. He said he thought the thing was barely hanging together. That turns out to be true because as it rights itself and lands with a heavy crash on all 4 tires, the 2 wheels that it landed on then shatter and it just kind of like flops to the side. It is sort of on the side of the road now, though, and there's enough room to sort of get around it.
Okay, right on.
Okay.
And then we also have the screeching from the marsh we need to kind of be
Yes.
aware of as well.
I did want
Um,
to kind of look out, survey the marshes to see if there's anything I can see in the direction that I heard that scream from.
Okay. So give me a nature check.
Ooh,
Ooh,
interesting.
nature check. Okay.
Who,
Okay.
who, all of us?
Give me a nature check just to see if you might have any recognition of what that sound what the source of it could have been, and then we'll
So we
do an
can-
investigation. Everybody,
We
give
can
me a
all
nature
roll?
check. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
If you're all focusing on this, maybe Thera doesn't care.
Yeah.
8 plus 3 for nature, so that's 11.
Well, I got a 5 minus 1, so I guess she doesn't care.
And then I got. How do you know if you have like a penalty? Because mine,
Look at nature under your
So-
skills.
yeah, mine mine doesn't have numbers on it.
So nature
That's
correlates to intelligence. So what's your intelligence score?
7 total.
7. You are going to be -2.
Okay, we might have to go through all these and do that because none of these have numbers. Okay, so I rolled a 9
And
minus 2 is
you
10.
have no proficiency bonus there too, correct? There's not
No,
a
I do
dot
not.
next to it. Okay, yeah. So you're
No.
going to subtract 2 from your roll.
Okay, so I got a 7 total.
Yeah. So none of you have any recollection of that sound or have anything you could pair it with in your mind. But why don't you give me an investigation check as you're sort of looking out over the marshes?
Is this just for Calvor or is this everybody?
Anybody who's interested?
So investigation.
Yeah.
It's 9 plus 1 is 10.
I rolled a 19.
Ooh.
Okay.
Thera, do you care?
I rolled a 14 minus. Wait, investigation?
Yeah.
Minus
What would
1, so
mine-
13.
Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, I forgot to add my penalty. Would that also be a -2 to investigation? Because my is an intelligence check.
If you don't have proficiency there, then yes.
Okay, so then mine would be 17.
Well, you're lucky because you actually still ended up rolling the highest. So of the three of you sort of something catches your eye, and you kind of put 2 and 2 together for a moment. What was pulling that wagon?
That's a
Their
good
wagon?
question. I
Their
wondered
wagon.
about that. Wait, it was a mule?
So
That was the other wagon.
you see literally a like bloodied horn of an oxen, just the horn, like it was ripped
Oh.
clean off of this animal, is laying in the tall grass next to the muck and the mire. And there's a little bit of blood in the tall grass, but other than that, the animal is gone.
Ew. That's not great.
I feel like we need a Witcher. I feel like we're kind of outclassed for this. Because
Okay,
Geralt
but-
of Rivia potentially in this land.
All right. Carl, I will give you all the money I looted from that guy if you go get the horn, though.
Is it down that embankment, that like 10-foot embankment?
Yep. So it's
I
at
don't
the
think
bottom.
I don't think there's any hope of me getting back up that. Like, it's steep, right? Or no? Well, that one guy crawled back up it, right?
I mean, you could crawl up it. You can climb up
Okay.
it.
There's roots sticking out. You'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I mean, yeah, nothing ventured.
value in collecting
Go
that
do it.
horn?
I'll give you all the money I looted off that guy.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
maybe there's something that would
An oxen
figure-
horn.
tell us- Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's got blood on it. Maybe it's
Hey,
got.
you
the
never
kind of-
know. We could use it as a weapon later. Think about that.
Maybe, mayhaps.
Or
Hollow it
blow
out
a
and
horn.
make it a drinking horn.
It's a nice
Or
horn,
blow
but it's
it
useless.
as a horn. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm challenging you. I figured you
Well, I
liked
mean,
it.
I honestly think that's not a bad idea. Just to go down there. Maybe there's like claw marks on it. Maybe there's
Yeah.
something on there that would.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
Well,
I'll go
wait,
down there.
who's
I'll take
got
a
the
look.
most investigation? Is that you,
Not me.
Calvor?
What was that?
Do you have the most investigation?
I have +1 to investigation.
Okay, go with him.
I like how you
No,
just
no, no.
call the shots from the
I
safety
have
of the
an
road.
idea. I have an idea.
I mean, I was
We'll keep the
Can
high
maybe-
ground. I'll go down there.
I'll
And-
stand at the top of the ridge and keep you covered.
Yes.
And then I have my bow in my hand, kind of
'Cause, you know,
ready.
That thing was close enough to stun you. That
Right.
scream.
We heard that
so-
scream.
Meanwhile, I'm
So-
just
I'm not-
reclining in the wagon.
Checking
Just,
your nails.
Yeah.
Watch your step and make it quick. I want to get out of here.
Yeah. So So it's not
Mercy
far
too.
from the trail, right? It's just like at the end.
No,
at the
it's-
bottom of the slope.
Roughly 30 feet away from the road itself.
Don't go all the way in there. Don't you have telekinesis, Steph? Can you just pull
No.
it already?
No, it's not yet.
Ergs is like impatiently tapping his foot,
My-
like he's
All right.
My
Unsettled.
mentor,
I'm gonna-
didn't teach me that one yet.
Nothing
so-
ventured, nothing gained. I'm going to run down
Mm.
there and toss it back to Calvor.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you sort of like awkwardly jog down this hill, and as soon as you get to the bottom, like there's an immediate change in the density of the ground itself. It's much softer, damper, wetter, and you kind of squelch your boots into it, and with every step you take, you have to like trudge, yank your foot out of the muck, and once you get close enough to grab the horn, your feet are starting to sink a little bit more up to the top of your boots as you pick this thing up. So you're going to try and heave it.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it back.
Give me an athletics check.
Ooh, I have proficiency in athletics. So
Yes.
And
I
what's
knew you were the
your-
right guy for the job.
And what's your
rolled
strength?
A freaking 1.
What's
I rolled a freaking 1.
I can't believe you've done this.
So as you try to toss this thing, it is like a full ox horn. So it's kind of unwieldy, and you kind of spin to try and toss it, but your feet are so like bogged down in the muck that you actually lose your balance. You fall backwards because of your own momentum, and your friends hear this splash and see water kind of just splash up into the air where you used to be, and they no longer see anything but your knees kind of sticking up out of the mud as you're flailing in the water.
I'm going to shout from the wagon.
I'm
You
going
good,
down there.
Carl?
I'm gonna just slide down the hill and start making my way to him. I think.
Can you like shoot an arrow with a rope on it? Just pull it out, please.
Oh,
Do we have a rope?
As you're making your way to him, it's squawk, squawk, squawk in the marsh and the muck, and you're trying to like work your way to it. Are you going to try and reach down and grab him? What are you doing?
I mean, assuming I get to him before he can sort of detangle himself from the muck, yeah, I'll try to lend him a hand, pick him up.
Give me an athletics check.
I'm a heavy
What are we
boy.
doing down here? What are we doing
Hold on.
here?
I am not coming down
don't-
for you people.
I don't appreciate sending the densest one of us down there.
I got a 7+2 for athletics, so that's 9.
Okay.
That's not gonna do it.
Yeah, so you're
Helping
really
me out,
having
right?
you're really having a hard time with this since you didn't since you don't really quite have a good grip on him. You're kind of slipping, his arms covered in mud as well. Can you give me a Constitution saving throw, Carl, as you're trying to catch your breath as you're under this mucky water?
All right, I have a +2 to Constitution.
I am loving every minute of
Do you
this
have a-
I rolled
story.
You have a proficiency bonus
15.
there too?
Yeah, so I get +2, so I rolled 15, 17.
Okay, so you managed to like right your body up just enough to take one deep breath of air before you flop back down in the water. Do you want to give me another athletics check, Calvort?
Sure.
It's like a fish just flopping.
That's a 5+2. It's even worse.
I'm going to drown before this is over.
Carl, just give me
Not going well.
can you give me a Constitution saving throw here?
Oh my
We've gone
gosh.
officially off the rails here. I rolled a 12 plus 2, 14.
All right, I'm gonna give it to you. So you flop up enough, just he's like gasping for a deep breath before he
I
flops
grab
back
his
down.
beard
In.
and hold his face
Yeah,
up
not
above
weird.
it.
Yes, you may. You grip that beard. You finally get a good grip on it. Now that you're thinking with portals, why don't you roll with advantage on an athletics check here?
Thank you. Oh boy. It's, hey, 9+2 is 11.
And your next roll?
I got a 9 and a 7, so 9's
Oh.
highest.
You grab the beard, and at this point, when his momentum goes back down into the water, you're gonna fall in too.
Oh
no.
my gosh.
Oh,
This is where it ends for us, folks. We didn't even make it to episode 1.
Oh my gosh.
Killed by muck.
I just imagine Theron just sitting at the top of the hill, just kind of watching.
Finally.
Okay.
I rolled the wrong dice for that. I rolled a d20 and a d12.
Oh, that would be
Okay.
a problem.
Both of you guys, at this point, out of sheer desperation, you are feeling like this is a situation that should not be as dire as it is, but it is dire. And by sheer willpower alone, I want both of you guys to roll for me an athletics check with advantage to try and get yourselves out of this muck. So roll a d20 twice.
I used the correct die last time.
I rolled an 18 plus 2, so I got a 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
20.
I rolled a 15 plus 2, so that's 17.
All right, so both of you manage to you find enough purchase in the ground itself that your boots are sunken down into. You're sort of using that as a counterweight to give yourself some leverage as you sit up out of the muck and scramble, just kind of crawling and just gasping for breath as both of you are now just covered head to toe in mud and trying to peel the leeches off of you as well that are sort of
Gross.
in your boots, on your arms, underneath your armor at this point. And you're crawling past this horn that's still laying in the mud, but finding some more solid ground now. You gonna go back for that horn?
I mean, we came all this way.
On one hand, if we leave without it, that's even more embarrassing. But I don't really want to go back for it. So
I'm going for it.
So,
all right,
so you
that's
kind
on
of
you.
trudge back in. You pick up the horn. It's pretty mucky here, right? Your feet are sinking in. What do you do at this point?
But instead of trying to throw it, can I just look at it and just try to see if I can glean any information for it?
Yeah, as far as you can tell, it just looks like a horn, but you can definitely tell it came off with some force. Like this was ripped off.
So it's like pressed off. It wasn't like cut off or anything.
It wasn't
like that?
cut off. This is brute force. There's no cutting, no
just ripped it right
sawing.
off. Okay.
It's just a ripped off horn, chunk of flesh on the end of it,
With some fur,
little bit of fur.
a little tuft.
Hmm.
All right. Well, that was really, really worthwhile endeavor. I'm just gonna toss it to the side and head back to the wagon.
So you guys managed to scramble back up the hill, just covered in muck. And
when I
Erg's,
see them,
Yeah.
I'm going to look at them and go, "Did you get the horn?"
Oh,
I don't want to talk about it.
the horn
Really-
was not worth taking. We're gonna leave it at that.
Well, that's really disappointing.
was a great
You're
little,
welcome to go back for it.
great little 10-minute side quest there that I didn't
Definitely,
anticipate,
yeah.
but I enjoyed it. Thanks, guys, for that. Appreciate that.
Sarah definitely
I-
enjoyed it too.
Erg's is like, can we leave now?
Yes, I don't want to talk about it. Just
Please.
drive. Just drive.
He got back up
I
into
love
the
that
wagon.
you guys are going to show up into the town just covered in mud.
Can I ask Thera to just hold a firebolt in her hand and like burn off any leeches that are still stuck to me?
Ooh, can I do that?
I don't see why not. Rule of cool says yes.
Well, now I got to think about if I want to do it.
Oh, come on.
They're kind of
It was your
gross.
idea.
What would you
Just-
give me?
This whole idea.
You
This whole
know-
operation was your idea.
But I really wanted the horns, so you didn't really put
I
up
guess
your
that's
end of the
true.
bargain.
Describe it to her.
Carl's not going to ask for help. He's just going to bite off his own leeches and leave it. At
Oh, gross! Disgusting.
Full of protein.
Yeah,
I don't want to watch Calavos do that. I will burn them off for you.
Well,
Thank you.
Ugh.
so
That's what you get in return. You don't have to watch me bite them off.
about 15 minutes pass, and you're still kind of tending to yourselves and trying to tidy yourselves up, shaking your boots out, all that business. And the road takes a hard left turn and begins to sort of wind back down, back and forth, all the way down to the lower city. This is your first time actually seeing the city of Calavos. The ocean breeze hits you as now you sit at the top of a steep drop-off about 150 feet straight down to the rocks below. But looming out in front of you now, you can see the curtain, boiling, bubbling. The sheer size of it is it's enough to sort of leave you in awe, right? Less than half a mile off of the coast away from you is this thing. You see the electric blue energy sort of zipping through the gray wall like a storm cloud full of energy, like it's ready to strike. It has sort of that air of anticipation about it, like it's something that could happen, right? It gives off a bit of like a low rumble, like a thunderstorm still miles off.
Look at the other two, and have either of you seen this before?
I mean, I grew up in Havendell. It's right by the shore, so I saw it a lot.
I've never
Wow.
been over to this side of the. This is an island, right? Yeah, I haven't even been over to this side of the island ever.
So you've never seen the curtain?
No.
Yeah,
You just-
no.
Where I grew up, we
Yes.
just kind of stayed around the central area of the island. Never really
Spent-
ventured too far.
Yeah, spent most of my life in the woods.
Well, rumor has it if you swim out, you might be able to pass through it, and you're muddy anyway, so could give it a try.
I'm not falling for that.
The wagon
What do you think
turns
causes
away.
such a thing?
What? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, what do you think Like, what do you think could cause something like that? Like, what could do this? You think this has happened elsewhere?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, just generally to both of you, asking.
I mean, a powerful magic of some sort. You know,
I'm just the rock guy. I'm the rock and stone guy.
my mentor when I was growing up, he taught my mother a lot of her own magic and then taught me. And he talked about people back hundreds of years ago that there was stronger power then, but that's about all he really said. That there were people who could wield power much stronger than anything we can wield now. I'm not sure if that's true, but that was the story he taught me.
Interesting.
As you're having this conversation, the wagon's going to turn and begin like a 180 in the road, where it kind of takes a U-turn back inland towards the city itself and starts to sort of do these switchbacks and wind its way down. And now you're greeted with your back to the curtain with the side of Calavos for the first time. You have that artwork? That might just be a good reference point for you.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Is this the key art we're looking at, or the map?
The key art. Either one.
I was looking at the map.
Helps you sort of visualize the space, right? If you're a visual person. So you start to take in the city from above while you make your way down to the gate. Now, the whole city rests comfortably inside this huge basin. Almost looks like an ancient god had used a spoon to just carve out a city-shaped hole in the rocky wall of Alashar's coast. And the city is tiered. The lowest echelon is down at the sea level, with the far east upper echelon sitting high above the rest of the city, but still nearly 150 feet below the top of the rock wall basin, the basin wall behind it. The upper city sort of reflects the midday sun now off of gilded rooftops. You can see even some smoke rising from one of the large estates in the upper corner of the city opposite of you. And there's a definitive line in the city where things go from opulent to destitute, right? You see, you go from like gilded rooftops to holes in rooftops. You see windows with no panes. You see shacks thrown together, tightly packed. And then down at the sea level, you see what they refer to as Ship Town, which is a strange sight to be sure. Old ships that got trapped by the curtain ended up getting disassembled and reconfigured to make a ramshackle town of its own. The docks became streets. The sails of the ships became canopies that now drape over the favela-like town, protecting it from the sun, but also angled, curiously, to protect it from the prying eyes of the upper city. You can see barnacles crawling up the posts that support Shiptown, showing aged wood. And eventually, after a few switchbacks, you find yourself now down at the bottom of the city with the gate in front of you, or rather, the outline of a gate. And there's no actual solid gate or door there to bar your entry. In fact, there aren't even any guards posted there to question you or anything. You simply just roll right in through the opening and into the lower city, the sea air thick with salt. There isn't an inn, there's no tavern just inside the gate like you would expect to see in any other city. It's just shacks and bustling business of common folks. The half hull of a once mighty vessel towers over you to your right, the first of the several large repurposed ships of Shiptown. And at this point, your driver, Ergs, is going to speak up. Well, this is where we part ways. I'm headed back up to Julian's Keep to get my shipment of Lapis and pick up my guard for the return trip, but best of luck to you. I truly hope you make it out of this hellhole when all is said and done. Just continue up this road here to the upper gate and show them those medallions you got, and you should get through just fine. And remember, you're looking for Baron Monsimer's estate. Good luck to you! And with that, you're going to hop down off the wagon, taking any of your personal effects, and he turns the wagon around and heads back out of the city, leaving you in the entrance to Calavos.
We did it. We made it.
End scene.
We're just getting started. What are you talking about?
I know, I was just kidding. It just had to be funny to say that.
Is there anybody out on the streets? You said there was bustling stuff.
Oh, yeah. This is midday. There's tons of people walking. This is it's not a beautiful city, but it is very, very inhabited.
You guys want to wash up before we meet with
maybe we
the
should
Baron?
find,
Because
You're literally right by the ocean.
by myself.
I mean,
Just gonna...
I assume the ocean itself up to the curtain is fine. People go in there diving for stuff, right?
I
So
used to swim in there when I was a child. It's fine.
So that's what happened to you.
Excuse me? Not sure I understand what you mean.
All right, so I'll go wash up on the shoreline.
All right.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna.
Can I? Am I
walk
close
off.
enough to that ship? Because we're right at the intersection, the first intersection, right?
Yeah, so if you're looking at the Calavos city map, you see these sort of like three buildings as you first enter into the city.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of you're right there at the shoreline, right in front of that first intersection there, where there's that left turn. Yeah.
Can I like hear or see anything from that first ship from where I'm washing up?
There's a lot of people aboard that ship. It's sort of like a half ship. It's kind of like they repurposed half of it and built it vertically up. So it's like half tower, half ship. It's kind of awkward looking, but you can definitely hear lots of bustling and moving around, and shouts and heaves and hoes and people doing their thing in there.
What about Haze and Hose, though?
Some haze and hoes.
Are the Lumineers?
The Lumineers are aboard.
Oh. Excellent.
It's canon.
All right, well, I'm ready to head up if you guys are.
Okay, so let's say you guys just rinse off a little bit, try and get your clothing looking a little bit more presentable.
I'm fine. Are you gonna go sopping wet though? I mean,
You might dry off on the way up.
Yeah, I'll dry off.
Yeah.
But you
Is it
are a
like
little chilly. I mean, we're mid-autumn. So the sun is shining, some dotted clouds here and there, but it's about 60-ish degrees Fahrenheit. So in wet clothing, it might be a little bit cool, a little chilly. But your party kind of does as Ergs instructs, feeling the eyes of every commoner like heavy on your back as you ascend the main road to the upper city gate. Because
they're probably thinking, what is this gorgeous noble elf doing
with these two
lowlifes?
guys?
These creatures from the Black Lagoon.
I'm just walking past people like doing that like motion across my throat, like I'm not with them.
Right.
I know. I see that.
Along the way, you're going to pass like several basic merchant stores, including cobblers, bakeries, general goods, tools merchants, a brothel, a couple of smaller taverns. And then you eventually pass an intersection along the way. It has a sign on the left that reads Monsimer Orphanage, while a sign on the right says City Guard Central Court. That's going to be at the second major intersection. You see how that that road turns east? It's a four-way intersection. So so if you were to take a left at that first main ship and go up that road, you're going to pass that one road that cuts off to the right. You're going to be up at that next intersection. And that's where you're going to see that sign, the sign on the left that reads the Monsimer Orphanage, the one on the right, City Guard Central Court. And shortly after that, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that big building that's kind of off on its own little street is the orphanage. The cartographer.
A good deduction.
Yeah, well, because I made it. So.
And like literally as soon as you get through that intersection, the buildings immediately change in a drastic way with a row of very well maintained. They're not opulent, but they're very well maintained, neatly ordered buildings that look like apartments of some kind. There are city guards everywhere here, many of them looking at you rather curiously. And then you approach this giant wall that separates the lower city from the upper city. And there's a checkpoint here that is heavily guarded. And as you step up to that gate, a guard is going to step forward. He's going to stop you. I'm sorry. You're clearly new to the city. This here's the gate to the upper city where the Duke and the Barons live. Unfortunately, only residents are permitted. City guard officials are allowed to pass through here as well, but sorry, you'll have to turn around, find some lodging down in the lower city. There's a huge building right down by the shore. There's several inns and taverns inside. You're expected.
Can I cut him off? Can I show him the medallion?
Where did you get that?
We're here to see Baron Monsimer. He's expecting us.
Monsimer gave these to you? Well, I sure heard nothing about it. He's gonna kind of gesture to some other men. Let me send a couple of guys to Monsimer's estate real quick and get some clarification on this before I let you through.
All right,
I'm gonna by making us wait. Then that's fine.
At this point, another voice is gonna pipe in, an older gentleman on the other side of the gate. That won't be necessary. These travelers have been invited here as honored guests of my master. My apologies. You can't be too careful these days. Give your master our regards, please. He's going to motion back to you. You can pass. Move along. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm gonna walk
As
past
I'm
him.
walking past him, I'm going to look at him and be like, I won't forget this. The way I was treated.
This older gentleman, he's in very finely pressed clothes. He looks very well put together. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Manfred, head butler of Baron Monsimer and his entire estate.
Oh my gosh, I love him already.
I welcome you to Calavos on behalf of my master and mistress. They regret they cannot be here to greet you personally at the gate. He's just going to start walking, with you through the through that checkpoint and take a hard right turn. And as he's speaking, just sort of guiding you down, you see that main street in the upper city that just follows the wall. You see that there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's where you are. Please follow me, and I will deliver you there promptly. Are you hungry? Weary from your travels?
I need a shower.
A little of both, yeah.
Do they have showers
Hospitality.
in this world? I don't even know.
A hot bath.
A hot bath. He would like a sponge bath from your oldest, most
I see
You
you
think-
found the marshes
Shaggable
can
woman.
be quite unhospitable.
Yeah, these
want
two
to talk about
hooligans
it.
decided to go
don't
jump
talk about
into
it.
the marsh.
now, hold on a
It
minute.
was-
I don't want to talk about it.
Listen, I was the smart one who stayed behind, but I don't know.
It was
Something
your
with
idea.
corn.
If you would
Let's
like,
say-
there are a couple of bathhouses on the way. If you'd like a short reprieve to clean up properly before we enter the estate. But my master is very eagerly anticipating your arrival.
Well, you guys can go get cleaned up, and I'll meet with them.
We're here together.
I mean,
It's fine.
I don't know.
Do you
if we
not
should
trust me?
split up,
I can deal with this, guys. I got this. I mean, I come from noble lineage. I made my way through the courts in Havendell. I think I
It'll
can
be quick.
handle.
We'll wash each other. It'll be fast.
Oh God!
As you're walking and
Oh.
joking, he's going to sort of gesture to a building that's on your left. Here, you may step right inside.
All right. I'll go in.
Thank you,
I mean,
Manfred. Yeah,
I want to go to this guy's house covered in stink.
He's going to
Yeah,
step in
same.
with you, and he's
Oh,
going
my.
to encourage Thera. You might like their accommodations as well, miss.
You stink
I
too.
mean, I look fantastic. Excuse
I've been
me.
on the road for a
So-
while.
As you're just standing outside the building and he's gesturing in, some workers are going to actually pour out of the building. And you kind of get the idea this isn't like a typical bathhouse. It's more like a spa.
Oh,
Oh,
So a couple,
Okay.
they're going to start ushering you in as they see you with Manfred. They
Oh.
clearly recognize him, and he kind of gives a quaint nod to them. And they're doting all over you. Oh, please,
Oh.
we must get you cleaned up. Yes, let us tend to you. Allow us. Usher you into the building.
Okay.
They're going to shove like cold drinks into your hands and
oh my gosh!
start kind of gesturing to
Finally.
separate rooms. And you can, there's like a sense, it's like steam, like smoke kind of filling the air inside the building. And there are these open air rooms that they're kind of ushering you into where there are pools to bathe in. There are basins with hot water already prepared and towels and things of the sort.
Naked pools.
oh my.
I mean, you may go to your own separate room if you wish, Thera.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
There's plenty to choose from.
Finally, some real civilization in this place.
So Manfred is just going to call out, I do encourage you, enjoy the amenities, but please be brief, as we do have a tight schedule today.
Can we count this as like a little resty
Yeah,
poo?
dude.
Ooh, yeah. Can we take a
Short rest?
rest?
Absolutely. So
Because
let's...
I'd love to get my hit points back.
Yeah, so go ahead and roll your hit dice and add your constitution modifier to it. And that's how many hit points you're going to recover. So I'm assuming
How do
you
I
probably...
know what my hit dice is?
So it'll say on your character sheet, for example...
I'm using an online one.
Yeah, so your hit dice should be underneath, like in the center column, right? You're just going to see armor class, initiative, speed. And then under that, it's going to show your total hit points. And then under that, there's going to be like your death saving throws. And right beside it is your hit dice. It'll
I know
say-
some of these words.
It'll say 1D whatever at level 1. So for you, Thera, your maximum hit points are 8, correct?
Yeah, yep.
So you're going to roll 1d8 and add
Okay.
your constitution modifier if you have one.
And where
Oh,
do I find the constitution? Oh, constitution's +2. Is that what you're talking about?
Is it? You have a constitution proficiency there?
I mean, I'm looking at strength, dexterity, constitution. That's +2.
Okay, so your constitution must be like 14?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's +2.
Okay.
So boom, right there.
Okay. Well,
I am
I mean,
dropped off as well.
I'm only at 2. I only need 2 hit points, so
What's your total hit points, Carl?
15 now.
15.
I'm topped off from that.
I rolled
There you
an
go.
8.
All right.
So I'm back to
My hit
to
dice.
total.
Did you even get hit? No, you got hit by a rock. You got conked with a rock, didn't you?
I'm -1 HP.
You can't roll a 0, so let's just assume you're full health.
Okay.
Right? So let's assume you guys take a brief bath, get yourselves all cleaned up, and when you get out, you're greeted with your clothes actually neatly pressed and folded, cleaned up, and just ready for you.
I like this place already.
All right,
So-
well let's get to this house. This guy's waiting for us.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
but keep in mind these are people like me, like what I grew up in. So let me do some of the talking, okay? I was able to schmooze my way.
Don't
through-
incinerate anybody, please.
so you notice
I might incinerate a commoner, but I'm not going to incinerate a noble. Get out.
Manfred's gonna slide some gold across the counter and pay for your amenities there on behalf of
Thank
the
you,
Baron.
Manfred.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Are we
What a
feeling
guy.
better?
Speak kindly.
Much.
Indeed. Thank you.
My mistress has
Yes.
prepared a wonderful assortment of foods today in anticipation for your arrival. I do hope you can be of use to my master while you are here. This business with the orphanage has him all out of sorts. He's going to start walking out the building, back to the road, and as he's speaking, the next building you're going to pass, you're going to see a small road in between the major buildings that goes back a ways towards the base of the wall, where you're going to see like a huge estate. Right? And he's going to walk past that one and keep going. He's very distressed about it. The most recent disappearance happened about a week ago, unfortunately. This time, a little girl named Binley. She was always a sweet girl. My master had intended to offer her a position on my staff once she came of age. She would have been well taken care of at the estate.
Can I ask him a question?
Yeah.
Why is he talking about her like she's dead?
But she's missing, and they probably never come back.
We
Well-
don't know that.
Well, to date, since the first disappearance, what was that, maybe 8 months ago? The boy Ars. Since the first disappearance, none of them have returned. I do regret that I've begun to lose hope.
Have you checked the marshes? We heard screaming.
If you heard
Pres-
splashing, that was me.
Present company excluded, nobody really goes out to the marshes.
How many children have gone missing in the last 8 months?
Well, Binley makes 4.
Do you have any leads at all?
Well, that, I believe, is why you are here.
Yes, Manfred, but
All right, then keep your
Between-
secrets.
between you and me, as someone who grew up in a very similar setting to this, I know that the servants know a lot more than they let on. You hear a lot of things, you can get access to a lot of places. Is there any information you can share with us that can help us find these kids?
The only sort of disappearances that we are accustomed to these days usually have to do with members of the resistance in the lower city. Outside of that, not too many people, as far as I'm aware, go missing. But then, I spend almost all of my time here in the upper city. Ah, here we are. He sort of motions to a second road that sort of mimics the first one you had passed. And as you turn down it, you just see this enormous estate spreading out in front of you. Welcome to the Monsimer Estate. Please, allow me. And as you walk past this sort of like a roundabout at the end of the road with a fountain in the middle of it, seems like clearly like if a carriage were to arrive here, it could just sort of pull up to the front door and then continue the circle and head back out. He's going to open the door for your party to enter this massive home. Property, you can see it extends back for hundreds of feet behind the house. And then upon entering, 2 quite beautiful middle-aged women are in the parlor. They're enjoying a hot drink of tea. And one
Keep
of
your
them
pants on, Kelvar.
one of them immediately puts hers down and stands up to greet you very excitedly. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad you made it here safely. This woman, who's sort of coming up to you very quickly. She's gorgeous. Her hair is brown. It's braided and kind of worn up with 2 braids on the sides cascading down her cheeks. She wears a dress, but it looks as though it's sort of both made to be appealing and functional. She has kind eyes, and you notice her fingernails, Thera, specifically. You're noticing like these hands, these fingernails, they don't look like what you would expect a noble's to look like. Like she has the hands of somebody who uses them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Manfred, for showing them to the property. I'm Vasilian Monsimer. My husband is Baron Liren Monsimer, who hired you to come all the way out here. I do hope your travels weren't too tiresome. You look wonderful. You don't look like you've been on a long trip at all.
Well, that's thanks to your
Hospitality, yeah.
hospitality. Yes, thank you, by the way.
Manfred, did you take them to the spa? I did. Lovely. Would you mind terribly grabbing some tea for our companions? Or maybe you'd like something stiffer, perhaps, after such a long trip. Can I get you anything? I know. I'll grab the mead. This latest batch was especially good. She sort of hurries excitedly out the door and calls back, Manfred, would you let Lyra know they've arrived? Of course, mistress. So, Thera, why don't you give me just like a perception check?
Okay. I
Good
get a
tea.
plus 3.
Nice job.
Stevie.
I got a 17, so that's 20.
Yeah. So you're taking notes here of how this woman who is supposed to be a noble seems much less, let's say, rigid than a noble usually tends to be.
Mm-hmm.
She seems to be much more lighthearted and sort of carefree. They both exit, both Manfred and Asilian. They exit the huge parlor, leaving your party alone with the other woman. And she now is going to stand up and walk over to you. Her hair is going to be black, like coal black. Not up in braids. It's wavy. It's worn down. It goes down her back with a couple of curled clusters sort of draped down over the front of her shoulders. And she walks much more regally. She walks like a queen, right? Straight back, shoulders squared, her chin slightly raised, and she seems to like glide over to you in this scarlet dress. But it's a dress that's, it's meant to be sort of physically appealing, sure, but it's also like giving you I'm the boss vibes, right? Beautiful and imposing. It's certainly not every day that a strapping group of adventurers finds themselves up here. Just sort of reaches out a gloved hand and feels the fabric of Kelvor's shirt on his shoulders, sort of between her fingers, and glances over at Thera. Although, if I'm not mistaken, you certainly look like you'd fit in here. Not even days of travel can erode the proud nobility of you away.
Thank you. I'm sorry, we didn't get introductions with you. I'm Lady Thera Venrel from Havendel.
She sort of gives a quaint nod. My name is Baroness Ida Caligar. I live just next door. If you prove yourself useful to Liren, perhaps you'll pay me a visit soon after. I'm sure I could find good use of a couple able-bodied men like yourselves. She sort of raises an eyebrow at Kelvor and Carl.
Yo.
And then a commanding voice is going to sort of break the tension in the room. You must excuse my dear friend Ida. She's a relentless flirt and much more formidable than she lets on. A broad-shouldered, very well-kept man struts into the room, walking with purpose, and there's no question, even at first glance, like, this is clearly the master of the estate. This is Baron Liren Monsimer. Asilian is going to follow him into the room with 2 bottles in hand, and a maid comes in behind her carrying several glasses. Really, Ida, I can't leave you alone for 1 minute. You must show some restraint from time to time. You'll scare them off. She starts pouring the mead and handing out the glasses to your party. She tries to offer one to Liren, but he sort of kindly waves it off, and instead she sort of turns around with the glass and offers it to a worker who's passing through the room, clearly on their way to some other task, who happily takes it and offers many thanks to the mistress of the house. And Ida's going to speak up again. I must show restraint. Really, Asilian, you just let your workers walk through your halls, the halls of your home, unsupervised. They're likely to steal from you, or worse, if you let this continue. Asilian's going to shoot back. I've told you, dear, showing a level of mutual trust makes them much more motivated workers. They're not savages. Liren's going to speak up again, sort of anxious to move things along. Yes, I must insist, Ida, that we continue this conversation maybe at another time. So she sort of gets the hint, rolls her eyes a bit, and begrudgingly makes her way to the door. Fine, I can take a hint. She glances back at your party. At least when I break the rules, it's fun. This one knows what I'm talking about. She gestures with an open hand towards Thera.
Yes, I do.
She kind of looks back at Cillian once more before leaving. She says, "Thank you for tea, my dear. Please, you must come by later. You have to try this barrel I set aside yesterday. It is divine." And with that, she leaves, with Manfred ushering her out. Finally, this gives Liren the opportunity to address your party. "I'm so terribly sorry. I wish I could have given you a much more proper welcome to my home, but I didn't get Melivir's letter telling me he'd found a party, and that they were on their way until just 3 days ago. Things are a bit hectic right now, but I'm truly happy to see you all here. It's been an absolute nightmare finding a willing and capable party to take on this task for me. But I worry that time is something we're running dangerously low on. If it wasn't clear, I am Baron Monsimer. You must have a lot of questions for me." He's going to gesture his hand, just showing you to a smaller side room where there are cured meats, wine, cakes all laid out on a table. He's going to pull a chair out for his wife, Cillian, who takes it and sits down. Meanwhile, Manfred is going to pull a chair out for Thera.
Ooh, thank you.
Please, feel free to ask anything. I'm very anxious to get moving on this investigation, but I'm also fully aware that you've never been to Calavos and haven't the faintest clue how things work here, or even who I am.
This is true. This is, firstly, thank you for your hospitality. Secondly, I've never been to this part of the world, so this is all quite new to me.
Never had seen the curtain until today. These two, at least.
This is true.
An imposing visage that, even after all these years, still can give me the chills. Well, you must have questions about the job, yes?
Yes.
I don't know how much Melivir told you.
Very little.
Yes, very. He didn't have a whole lot of details. Manfred offered a few details on the way here, but not many. He said the first disappearance was about 8 months ago, and there have been 4 in total now. Is that correct?
Yes, unfortunately, 4 children now. When I had sent the letter to Melivir initially, it had only been 3, but unfortunately last week, we lost another little girl named Binley. Very bright girl, 12 years old, very motivated. I had planned on offering her a position here among our staff, as I often do some of the orphans who come of age. In fact, Distinia here, he sort of motions towards the maiden that followed Cillian in with the glasses, so the half-elf. She was one of the orphans at the orphanage as well. She now works here on staff. A wonderful addition to our family. We love her very much. But we had hoped that Binley would join us as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Were all the people who have disappeared, were they all slated to work for you when they were old enough?
Just Binley, really. The others were too young. We hadn't really considered it just yet. One boy, ours, and then a few girls, including Binley. The one thing that they all have in common is that none of them were the kind that you would assume would be runaways. Very content, very happy, and none of them, when they disappeared, none of them took any personal effects with them. All their personal effects were left behind. Their favorite books, toys, things like that, all left behind.
When was it noticed that they went missing? Certain time of day?
Well, all this disappearances seem to happen at night. So it's usually first thing in the morning. In fact, your main contact at the orphanage, I'm assuming that's where you're going to be heading next after this, but there is the headmistress of the orphanage, Miss Dalavestes, but your primary contact will actually be Miss Sarah, due to the headmistress' failing health. She's getting older. But Miss Sarah had explained to me before Binley disappeared that because of the disappearances, they were so nervous, they actually started sleeping in the bunk rooms with the orphans, hoping to maybe prevent any further disappearances. But Binley still managed to go missing, even with one of the workers sleeping in the room with them.
And no one hears anything?
That's the thing. There's been no clues, no indications of windows being opened, of the rooms they sleep in are on the second floor. Hard to imagine they're sneaking out.
How many bunk rooms are there? Is it one big room or is it multiple rooms?
Well, there's two main rooms. We have a boys' room and a girls' room, and the number of orphans currently that we have in the orphanage right now, minus Binley, I think would be 25.
City
Have there
guards even
been-
bothered to investigate?
Well, see, that's why I've invited you here, because I don't know how much you've heard, but the city's on high alert right now. Tensions are very high. The city guard does not look favorably on the lower class citizens, and it would be hard pressed to get them to lift a finger or exert any effort of any kind to help anyone of the lower city, even if it is someone of the orphanage. Sponsoring the orphanage is about as much humanitarian work as I can get away with without losing my position, even.
Why are tensions so high?
Well, you see, you know what work I do, yes?
Assume that these two don't. I'll let you explain it in your own words. Of course, I know.
Please, presumptuous of me. Please follow me. He's sort of going to stand up real quick and walk out a doorway behind him that leads further back into the home. And Manfred is going to offer to pull your chair out for you, Thera, as Liren does the same for his wife.
Loving this treatment.
Gonna
Loving Manfred.
Going to start following him back out to the back of the property where a couple of big glass doors are already wide open, kind of open air breeze kind of coming into the home. You notice, Thera, one thing that you notice immediately is the workers that he has on his estate have free access to the home itself. They're sort of coming and going. You see there are snacks and things sort of set aside. Workers kind of come in, they grab a drink, they grab some food, and head back out to do their work. You see, this is about the time of day that we begin our work here at the estate. So we work in the production of Lapis, all of the barons, and each baron is responsible for one part of that process. Here on our estate, we harvest the gold bead nectar, and he sort of motions up, and you see this wall, your first time sort of being up near the back basin wall, kind of stretching at this point, it's the highest point because he's sort of in the middle of it, of that back wall, his property. So it's about 170-ish feet straight up, this rock wall. And you notice there are ropes, there are pulleys, there are sort of like steel picks kind of placed into the wall. You're going to see flowers on these vines that creep down the rock wall. There are workers sort of belaying up and down the wall, harvesting this nectar out of these flowers. And then at the base, you're going to notice, Kelvor, almost immediately, that catches your eye. About half a dozen apiaries where the bees are kept, they make honey, but they also are there to, you're assuming, help pollinate these flowers. Yeah. So we harvest the gold bead nectar. The barrels, he's going to motion to a couple of tracks, like wooden tracks, that come from the neighboring property. The barrels come from the cooper. They roll them down here. They're filled with the distillate. And then we add the gold bead nectar to the barrels to flavor the Lapis drink. They send, our workers then send these barrels after they've been flavored with the nectar. They roll them down these tracks again to the next property over, which belongs to Baroness Ida Caligar, who you already met. And she handles the storing of the barrels in the warehouses as well as the glassworks when we bottle the Lapis. She is then the only baron, since she's the last one. She's the only one that has access to the hidden highway. She then takes the shipments to the hidden highway, processes them at the Duke's estate before they finally go up the highway and into Julian's Keep. So that's what we do here.
Quite an operation.
Yeah, well, so, which brings me back to why tensions are high. The entire operation happens here in the upper city, and the Lapis never goes to the lower city at all. So they don't see a dime from this process at all. Now, the workers here on the 5 estates for the 5 barons almost exclusively come from the lower city. We hire from the lower city. They're desperate for work, desperate for money. We offer them, all of the barons, we offer them lodging. They can bring their immediate family members, and they are obviously compensated for their work as well. So many of them are anxious to come up here and take these jobs. But my other barons don't treat them maybe as the same as I do. They take advantage of the fact that they're desperate for work and lodging, a room to sleep in that doesn't have holes in the roof. And so they pay them very little. They work them extra long. But we do about 7 hours of work for each person a day. We start later in the day because the gold bean flowers don't open up until the sun hits them, and since they are against the eastern wall of this basin, the sun doesn't end up hitting the flowers until about just shortly after noon. So that's when we really start our work here.
Why
Trying
do
to
you
use the
treat
flowers so well.
why do you treat them differently?
Well, my wife Acilian used to be the head maid for my father.
Hmm.
And when I was growing up on the estate, we fell in love. She was from the lower city. Really, she dismissed my prejudices and made me really see them for the people they are, which I hope is evident in the way that we treat our staff. And you can sort of motions over. You see their lodging facilities are well maintained. There's they kind of look like a single story apartment complex, right? With one sort of central common room where there's like a kitchen and sort of amenities like that they can all use collectively.
It's certainly admirable.
About how much of the lower city's population is hired by the upper city?
A very small percentage. I mean, to get a job here in the upper city is sort of like winning a lottery of sorts.
Our driver, as we were coming into town, mentioned something about resistance fighters.
Yes. So the captains of Shiptown have banded together and sort of leading this resistance. Since none of the money that we make trickles down into the lower city, it's seen as a pretty big, sort of income gap here. And I'm sure as you rolled up through the lower city, you saw how destitute it is. And I wish there was more I could do about that. And I truly wish that I could. But I also understand that I'm in a unique situation here where acting out on behalf of the lower city would probably get my position vacated. They would cast me aside, replace me. There'd be nothing I could do about it. I have the lives of my workers to think about, the lives of my family to think about. This is my son. He sort of motions to a maybe 19-ish year old looking young man. This is Orlin, our only child. He's clearly working with a team of belayers, sort of training new hires on how to climb the rock wall and do the harvesting. But I digress. I wish there was more that I could do, but they're so destitute. And they look up the hill and they see these golden rooftops and the opulent lifestyles, and they feel envious and feel like they're owed some of the money that we have access to. And I can't say that they're entirely wrong, but that's where the tensions lie, which is why people are fighting back against the upper city. But it is a literal and figurative uphill battle for them, as we have the city guard protecting the upper city. They're well, equipped and trained.
Quite a predicament to put yourself in.
Yes, so, I live in a perpetual state of stress, yes.
Why do you care so much about the orphanage?
Well, you see, I have a heart. Children especially. I think everyone deserves a fair chance at life. And I don't know what you've heard about the history of Calavos, but we've had a number of plagues that have rolled through, waves of illness that strike the common folk especially, more so than the upper city. They don't have the means to treat it. And it's left many children fatherless, motherless, orphans. And the orphanage didn't have the capacity or the workforce to handle them. So I naturally felt inclined to offer my funds and resources to at least help them have a place to land.
Okay.
Have you ever reached out to the captains of Shiptown, tried to broker an alliance of some sort, a peace?
Well, unfortunately, that's not something that I have the capacity personally to do. All sorts of negotiations would be handled by the Duke himself, and it's not really seen too often. Although I would encourage you, he's supposed to be giving an address of some sort in the coming day. I think for 4 days from now. I would encourage you maybe be there for that. You could see him, maybe get a sense for what's happening in the city. He usually gives a bit of an update for plans for the immediate future. So maybe you'd be able to attend.
Keep that
When
in
would
mind.
we be able to meet with Miss Sarah?
I would hope that you would go there immediately after our conversation here today. It would be my preference, just sort of knowing that any night could be another night that we lose another child. Unfortunately, I would sleep a lot better tonight if I knew that you were on the case immediately.
I have nothing further. I'm ready to head out.
Excellent. Thank you so much. One last thing. So, some tips about where to start. Go straight to the orphanage. Speak with Miss Sarah. See what she can proffer, what knowledge she can offer you as well, and insights she could provide. But beyond that, you're probably going to want to start at the trade center, which is the largest building in the lower city, right down next to the water, just outside of Shiptown. Sort of the central hub there. There's a wall there where job postings, I'm told even postings for like missing persons sometimes show up. That would be a good place to start. See if any of the postings there sound vaguely or tangential to the work you'd be doing with the orphanage. Also, asking around the taverns, talking to people who work especially night shift jobs, brothels even. Anyone who could offer any sort of insight, so anything they've seen that could be useful. But beyond that, if this is very important, please listen. If any leads lead you back to the upper city and cast suspicion on anyone up here, please, I implore you, talk to me first. Okay? You must understand. If I am, even sort of remotely assumed to be in leagues with the captains of the lower city, it could spell disaster for me and my family. I'm talking literal life and death here. So if you come to the upper city and start sniffing around other barons' estates or talking to the workers at the Duke's mansion, and people know that you're working for me, this could have serious repercussions for me and my family. I'm putting myself in a very risky position here. So please, please promise me, if there are any leads that lead you to the upper city, come to me first. I probably have a much better capacity for following down those leads than you do anyways, yes?
Thera immediately in her head is like, I'm not going to do that.
That's reasonable.
As soon as somebody says do this or don't do this, she's going to be like, I'm doing the opposite.
So he's definitely trying to communicate the fact that if he is suspected by his colleagues of being in leagues with the resistance in the lower city, they could hang him and his family. That's what he's really trying
already
to communicate
making plans to help the resistance, because I love me a little bit of chaos. I'd love to see this place flipped on its head. I mean, I do love the high life, but I'm not against taking it down in a city that's not my own,
People have seen us coming in. I'm sure people have seen us coming into this area. We obviously aren't from here. We don't belong here. We don't look like we belong here. What's our cover story? What would he prefer us to like?
Ooh, good
What would he
question.
like us to kind of, if people are asking or want to talk to us, what's our cover story? What do we say?
That's an excellent question. Very astute of you to ask, and I do appreciate the insight
Ooh,
there.
look at
But
you,
please,
Carl, astute.
please, if anyone questions, my work with the orphanage is, as far as I understand, no one has a problem with it. It seems to be, I think everyone finds common ground in, hey, let's protect children. So even the monsters among us don't mind if a child lives, right? So just say that you're working for me, investigate, be honest. You don't have to lie. Tell them you're investigating disappearances, missing children, and that any insight they can offer would be valuable and helpful.
Sounds like a right deal to me.
I would encourage you to avoid any political, involvement with this whole resistance business. Very dangerous business. If you want to do that, maybe after you help me find these missing children. But you have to understand that for me, these children, they trust me to provide for them a safe home, food, adults who care for them lovingly. It is a mark of extreme shame for me that I have let these children down, and I want to know what is happening to them and where they have gone. And that is my primary goal here, yes?
For sure. Totally understandable. I will say this, though. If we're going to go poking around taverns and brothels and trading posts, there might be a stipend that we might need.
What I can offer you is this. So he's going to sort of motion to Manfred, who's going to hand out a couple of, each of you has a little, like a leather sack, a little pouch that he's handing to you. And inside, you're going to see there's 2... So you're going to want to write this down in your inventory section. 2 minor healing potions for each of you, as well as 45 gold in each of those bags. Now, he's also going to hand a piece of paper. He's going to just hand it over to Carl, who's closest to him. On this paper, you will see there is a building circled. There's a map of the guard line. There's a building circled. I own that building. Proceed to this building. There's going to be a staircase on the right side. It'll lead you up to a door to an upstairs apartment that I own. I've had it fully stocked. There are beds made. The pantry is full. There are drinks. So all of your accommodations are provided.
And then, of course,
Perfect.
the reward we were promised when this job is done.
Oh,
Assuming-
dang. Thought I was going to be the one to ask.
Assuming you do the job per my specifications, and yes, it is a non-negotiable about coming to me first if you find any leads in the upper city. Your pay does depend on it. But yes, assuming you do the job per my stipulations, you will be paid handsomely for it.
Let's boogie.
All right.
So it sounds like we'll be evening when we want to rest, and evenings and whatnot. We come back up here and we'll, taken care of up here. Is that?
It's
what I'm
technically on the other side of the wall, but yes, the apartment is in the
Gotcha.
guard line. So
Okay.
if you see the city guard central court, so the building is going to be two to the right and one back. So it's right up against the wall,
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I see which one you're talking about.
right next to the other checkpoint, opposite the one you came in, right, just to the left of it.
Perfect. Well, I say we head to our place of stay first, get ourselves kind of settled in, situated, and come up with a game plan. Get this
Yeah.
crime solved for this good
Excellent.
Baron here.
Please do make sure to stop by the orphanage tonight.
Of course.
Yes,
that is
that's-
going to be our next stop after we settle our things.
I
Yeah,
say,
I travel fairly
we're done in
light.
daylight here. We
ready
should
to
get
go,
moving
so-
quickly.
All right, so he's going to give you some kind goodbyes. Cillian is going to be, sort of doting on you as you head towards the door. Manfred's going to open the door, to gesture you out, and you're going to be on your way. And with that, we say thank you so much for tuning in to Session 1, Part 1, as we sort of just get our feet established here in the city of Calavos. Thank you to our players.
Yay!
Thank you for
Hey,
listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Slay
flopping
queen.
around in the mud.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for
Oh,
doing
never
I
that.
don't
again.
want to talk about it.
Never
I
again.
don't want to talk about it.
Traumatized.
And in the next
Level 1
episode,
trauma.
we will pick up where we left off, and we hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
See you next time.